Microphone check. It's a microphone check. What's a microphone check? This is the microphone check. Oh my goodness, it's Tuesday. What happened to my camera? What's going on with the camera? It's falling off my computer. I didn't even notice. Music keeps going. Jeez, what a start. God damn, as if that's not the most me start possible. I don't know what it is. Now a live is playing. God damn, everything's going on. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It's good to have you guys here today. It's good to be here today. Shout out, where's our Canadians at? And shout out Biter for that awesome intro music. Somebody said I love that intro. I do. It's one of my favorite songs. But shout out Biter for putting that together. And shout out Canada. Well done, Canada. It's so crazy. Like I probably should have pulled this up, but the odds for the Canadian election, like they literally swung 80 points. And for everybody that's MAGA, and everybody in Canada who's a conservative and is disappointed about what happened last night, it is absolutely, positively true that Donald Trump cost you guys an election. How bad are you when you're costing people elections in other countries? How bad do you have to be to get there? Pretty fucking bad is the answer. Pretty fucking bad. But I know we have a lot of Canadians here, and I'm so happy for you guys in Canada. You've got a prime minister who, unlike our politicians, many of them here, is willing to just stand up and call a spade, and appreciate that. So congratulations, Canada. And congratulations, all the right-wingers in Canada, too, because you're not going to get all wrapped up in Trump's mess now. So you all won. I'm happy for Canada. I'm looking forward to maybe moving there at some point if shit goes south, which maybe it will. And anyways, that's all I have to say about Canada today. Good to see you guys. As a reminder, we're crowdfunded. The payment apps are above or below me, depending on where you're watching this. And we have a daily gift goal so that Jen doesn't quit. I do need to make a quick announcement. We will not be going. We're not going to go live with Admir tonight. There will be some what I view as important lives that'll be happening tonight. How do I approach this the right way? There's obviously a split, a divide, and a problem that was caused not directly by the fact that the Unfuck America tour happened, but the way that the Unfuck America tour happened. And because of the way that played out, there are a lot of people who have been hurt, some people who have been exposed. And there will be some lives later today discussing that, and I don't want to compete against that. I think it's important. Like TikTok is a small world when it comes to like politics, especially on our side of the aisle. And I really don't want to be competing against stories that they're important. They're going to be hard to hear. There are creators that people love. Who have done some things that they definitely shouldn't have done, reputations that have been ruined. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, you probably saw it. If you saw it last night, you saw it last night. I don't know how much I want to say about it, if we're being honest. I'm not involved in it. I am aware of it. I've been aware of I've been aware of a particular creator being particularly problematic, and I've known about it for a long time. And people were afraid to come forward with their stories. People are still afraid to come forward with their stories. And they're afraid to come forward with their stories because when a creator has a large audience, oftentimes that audience will turn against anybody who speaks out against them. And I just want to say this for the record. Don't do that. Don't defend creators because you think you know them, because you don't. And I would say that for me. You never you see what the creators show you. You see what the creators want you to see. You don't know everybody. So I'm only saying that to say when you see these stories and they are ripping some left-leaning communities apart, the only advice I would give is be open-minded. Don't assume because there is a creator that you like, that you trust, don't assume that they're in the right. Don't assume because somebody has done good things for you or good things for others that means that they can't do bad things. Because they do. They often do. Don't be surprised. I would say if anytime. Well, I think if we've learned anything from TikTok in the last year is that when people get caught doing something and they are approached about doing something, if they are constantly bringing up people to defend their integrity, I would say that is a red flag. If a creator, I'll be honest about Dean yesterday. I did watch a long. I watched a very long live with Dean, and I'll say that I think Dean did a good job. I think Dean listened to criticism. He went to spaces where people were hurt. He acknowledged that he did not pay attention to those spaces. He even admitted that he didn't know those spaces existed. Other creators went the other way. Other creators have decided to victim blame, to stand themselves up as authority figures or as moral figures. And I hate that I'm saying that. I'm going to be honest. I hate every fucking bit of this. I don't like talking on this. And the only reason I'm talking about it is because for a year now, I have had people come to me and share stories with me. And they asked me not to tell those stories because they were afraid of backlash from a large creator. That shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist on any side of the aisle. It shouldn't exist in life. If people are mistreated, if people are defrauded, they should not fear retribution when they come forward. I think that's pretty much what I'm going to say. If my name somehow gets involved, which I don't think it will, then I'll come forward with the things that I have to say. All I'll say is that if you wind up watching this stuff, please do not take the side of somebody because you think they are you think they are something. The truth is you don't know any of these people, and you should listen to the stories and you should look at the evidence and then make the decisions yourself. I'm saying this because I do stand in solidarity with the people who have spoken to me and who have been afraid to speak out. And I think the same thing applies to me. I don't 100% know everybody's stories, if they're true or if they're not. But I do think that they have every right to tell their story. And I think they have every right not to be gaslit and silenced. And so you're going to see some stuff over the next couple of days that's going to be uncomfortable. And that's the only advice I'm going to give is throw preconceived notions out the window, throw your views of people outside out. Because I think that people, if somebody wants to manipulate you, the best thing they can do is remind you of all the good things they did so that you ignore the bad things that they did. So I had no direct involvement in this. I had no invitation from Unfuck America. Nobody has ever approached me about Unfuck America. Content creators rarely come to me anymore about being involved in projects because for the last year and a half, I've refused to be involved in multiple projects multiple projects where the money mysteriously disappeared, or there seems to be no receipts for the money. And those events seem to coincide with big purchases. So, yeah, I kind of I'm kind of on my own for a reason, and I think I will continue to be on my own for a reason. I would not be involved in a movement that is paid for by a PAC or is paid for by the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. At the end of the day, it's incredibly difficult to trust the people have the right intentions. And a lot of times when people are confronted with large sums of money that need to be distributed to other people, the distribution doesn't happen. So, is there anything else I want to add to that? Off the top of my head, I don't know. I may talk about it again later. We'll see. I'd prefer not to. I don't think my voice is very important in this. Only in so much is my absence from this public discussion, my absence from panels, my absence from talking about this movement is on purpose. And I just encourage you guys to listen to the people who share their stories, because many of them have been terrified to share their stories and have had to be reassured by a lot of people that they will be protected when they share their stories. So, anyways, that's that. Sorry to start out on such a bad note. Let's make it worse. Let's make it worse. I think I get accused sometimes by Republicans of not ever saying anything bad about our side of the aisle. I want to show you this from Ryan Grimm. This is new reporting on the Biden administration, which is devastating, but I don't think anybody should really be surprised.
A truly incredible and utterly damning quote is out in an Israeli investigation. This is Israel's channel.
I love that. Who said that? On that note, sorry, I'll start this over. He said, on that note, fuck text. I agree. Fuck text. Let's reset. If you guys missed that, you could go back and watch it.
A truly incredible and utterly damning quote is out in an Israeli investigation. This is Israel's Channel 13. Interviewed Michael Herzog, former Israeli ambassador, and he says here, God did the state of Israel a favor that Biden was the president during this period. We fought for over a year, and the administration never came to us and said, ceasefire now. It never did. That's not to be taken for granted. That is just one piece of this Channel 13 investigation. What you may have noticed is that there is much more willingness in Israel to be open about what Israel is doing in Gaza. The things that they publish there would be either censored or just blocked from publication here in the United States. In Israel, for whatever reason, we can talk about that later at length. They're freer to talk about what's actually happening. Now, Dan Coe, who's a former Biden administration official, also interviewed John Feiner, who's a top State Department official, and posted that video today. He said a similar thing. He said that it was a reasonable argument to say that the U.S. did not do enough to pressure Israel to let in humanitarian aid and to reduce civilian casualties. That, of course, is putting it quite gently. Feiner also made the point, and I think it's worth underscoring, that that's no longer even the debate that we're having with the Trump administration. Now the question is, why are they putting zero pressure on Netanyahu? And now we have the ugly answer to what happens if there is zero pressure put on Israel to get humanitarian aid in or to reduce civilian casualties. You have civilian casualties explode in a way we haven't seen in many months, and you have food aid completely blocked since March 2nd. Let me underline that. Since March 2nd, not a single truck with food or medicine has been allowed into Gaza.
Look, there's some people that were right about Harris. I think that going back and looking at the way that Harris ran her campaign, I don't know that she felt like she could talk about Joe Biden and that she could take a stance against that administration. Maybe she didn't care. I don't know, but it's good to see the reporting coming out now. I wish it would have been a little more brave then, but we were told. We were told that it was a tricky situation over in Israel and that they were doing whatever they could to make the situation better. And as it turns out, they were putting very little effort into pressuring Israel. I said it yesterday in that debate with that guest that came on yesterday. All America has to do is go to Israel and say, knock it the fuck off, and stand on the border and say, Hamas, knock it off, Israel, knock it off, and it's done. It's really not that difficult to solve. Nobody's willing to do it. They just want to appease Netanyahu every single day. I don't know why. I don't know why we're still appeasing Netanyahu. I don't know why we're pretending that Netanyahu's not a war criminal. I don't know why. I don't even know why it's a partisan issue. I cannot for the life of me figure this the fuck out. Honestly, I think it just has to do with the fact that Americans by default are partisan. And so if one side has an opinion, the other side takes the opposite opinion. I think that if this were to occur in a vacuum without political ideologies or not ideologies or affiliations, and we didn't know where each side stood, I think almost everybody would agree that what Israel is doing isn't okay. But we have this weird Christian ideology that Israel can do no wrong because of the history of Jerusalem, and which is an incorrect history of Jerusalem. And here we are. And you have Democrats, moderate Democrats who are also religious, who buy into this shit. This is why I don't like religion. We're doing a genocide for a fairy tale. We're doing a genocide for something in a book that doesn't exist in that book. An idea that Israel has the right to that. What are we talking about? That book is a collection of letters that was selected by men who argued in the Council of Nicaea. We decided what's going to go in the Bible, what's not, and then even as we created the Bible, even as men were creating the Bible, there was disruptions, there was disputes, and so they just adjourned the Council of Nicaea, and then the people that they disagreed with, they didn't ever make it back. Nobody really saw them again, and then they came back and they put what they wanted in the Bible, and that's what we're fighting a war over. That's why we're unwilling to tell Israel no, this is bad. Why? Because of a book. Because of a very imperfect, contradictory book that men put together. Whatever your beliefs are, I'm not trying to shit on Christians here. You can believe all of that stuff, but you still have to acknowledge the fact that this book was not something that was came down from heaven. It was voted on. It was discussed. It was very democratic the way that they put the book together. And then it became very Putin-cratic when they offed everybody who disagreed with them. But that's why that's the only reason this is continuing. And it's crazy that we have a political divide based on that. And I've read the book. I've read it a bunch of times. It's not in there. There's nothing in the book there that's hey, this land is for the Jewish people, and the Palestinians don't get to be here. I checked. It's not there. I don't know. Maybe that was the part that they left out, but it's not in the book. And the Biden administration, that's what they should be remembered for, if we're being honest. Slight economic recovery. I think he did a good job putting a Band-Aid on a very, very difficult economic situation. But ultimately, he will go down as a coward when it comes to Israel, just like most of the politicians in our country and all the politicians currently that hold power in the Republican Party. There's nobody willing to stand up for those who are being starved to death. We're just starving people to death. I don't know if you remember at the end of that clip. No food or aid is getting through. No, these aren't terrorists. They're not criminals. They're just people, and we're just starving them to death. That's what being an American is all about. Apparently these days, that's what MAGA. That's what America First is. That's what patriotism is. That's what freedom is. Let's just go let a bunch of people starve to death. Johnny said, "Hey, at least you weren't muted when I started." Thank you, Johnny. Amy Lynn said, "Who, what, when, where? I need the tea." You guys will get the tea. You'll see the tea. If you're in the Discord, you'll go to the tea time. They'll keep you. Everybody in that tea time in the Discord is probably more up to date on this than I am. So if you want to find out about that, go there. All right. I want to just remember yesterday during that debate, we had the argument about sexism and how Pete Hegseth is absolutely a sexist. Because if you exclude all women from combat roles, but some women would be able to serve in combat roles, then you are by definition sexist. Here's Pete Hegseth this morning. It's like he watched the show yesterday and was mad that somebody said he wasn't sexist. So he showed up on Twitter today to be like, I'm going to prove that I am sexist. This morning, I proudly ended the Women, Peace, and Security program inside the Department of Defense. WPS is yet another woke, divisive social justice Biden initiative that overburdens our commanders and troops, distracting from our core task, war fighting. We're not at war. Our soldiers aren't going to war currently. I don't know why we're so obsessed with war fighting. WPS is a United Nations. First, it was a Biden initiative. Now it's a United Nations program pushed by feminists and left-wing activists. Politicians fawn over it. Troops hate it. DoD will hereby execute the minimum of WPS required by statute and fight to end the program for our next budget. Good riddance, WPS. There's some problems here. This was a bipartisan bill that passed through Congress, and it was signed into law not by Joe Biden, but by Donald Trump. It was signed into law not by the United Nations, but by Donald Trump with bipartisan support. In just 6 years, the GOP has gone from, we like women. We like women. Let's make sure that women are protected in the military to fuck women. Get them the hell out of here. That's the difference between the first Trump administration and the current Trump administration. Is like the first Trump administration, they kind of like hid their sexism. They hid their racism. Not this time. This time we're letting it all hang out, says Trump. And there's Pete Hegseth proving time and time again that he's nothing but a bigot. He wants a war machine so he can go eliminate Muslim people. He has the stated goal of killing all Muslims, and he doesn't want women over there helping him kill all Muslims, apparently. Which, look, if in all fairness, as sexist as this is, I wouldn't want to be fighting for this administration either. I wouldn't want these people to be in charge of where I was going. Here's Duffy. Now, look, I'm about to hit you guys, which is this morning was not a good day for the Trump administration. However they're going to try and spin what's going on today, they can't. It is a disaster. It is a clusterfuck on top of clusterfuck. They literally, our closest ally, Canada, they just lost Canada an election. The conservatives in Canada. Now you have a story coming out about tariffs. We're about to find out how tariffs are hitting us. You go look at Seattle, like the ports are empty. We're about to get hit with tariffs. We're about to get hit with supply chain disruptions. All of this is a self-inflicted wound to accomplish nothing. This administration, for all the executive orders they have signed, they have accomplished nothing. But they have hurt Americans every step of the way. Here's Sean Duffy. Sean Duffy, remember, as Trump took office and Elon Musk came in, Elon Musk immediately gutted the FAA. They started calling everybody a DEI hire. They said the FAA was a disaster. Now they're getting the heat for it. And now suddenly Sean Duffy is changing his tune. Oh, no, we do need to hire more people. Remember, as they were firing people, they were saying like, oh, it's overbloated. The FAA is bloated. And now here we are 40 days later, and they're completely changing tune. I don't know if you guys saw the video of the Delta flight where the people are like holding up the overhead bins because they're falling apart. We were warned about this like 4 years ago. There was a Boeing whistleblower who was like, look, we cut a bunch of corners and you guys aren't seeing it now, but in the next 5 to 10 years, our planes are going to start falling apart because we cut a lot of corners. And these things take time as the planes go and they rattle and they shake loose. Give it 5 years, you're going to start seeing a whole bunch of problems. That's why we're seeing a whole bunch of problems. Here's Sean Duffy now completely reversing course and saying, oh, never mind, we need help at the FAA.
This has been some of the most challenging 100 days for anybody, I would say, outside the President of the United States with your department.
Yeah, I was going to fly to Newark, and I'm like, I'm going to take Amtrak instead. It was just happenstance. Yeah. And then my Amtrak was delayed an hour as well, so I couldn't win either way. So it is a problem, and so we're starting to see some problems in the infrastructure of our air traffic control system, and that's what you had yesterday at.
Hey, Edward, as a former Army 11B, woman should not be allowed in the infantry. Shut the fuck up. Learn how to spell also. Thanks for your service. Shut the fuck up, though. Nobody paid you to speak. Nobody paid you for your bigotry. We don't give a fuck. You're not an expert because you served in the Army, just so we're clear. There are women who would beat your ass, Edward. Beat your ass. This is just you being thin-skinned.
At Newark, and so we need to fix it. The Congress has to help us. It's going to be billions of dollars, but it's hard to get money for big projects like this.
Right. Yeah, especially when you broke them. Especially when 40 days ago you broke the whole fucking system. Oh, we're going to fire everybody. We're going to break all the systems. And now they're like, we need money, Congress. And they're making it difficult for us. Yeah. Yeah, you broke it. We asked you not to break it. We told you were breaking it. And now you're like, we need money to fix the shit. There were already problems. You made them worse. Now you're going on Fox and Friends acting like, oh, I'm here to fix things.
Right? And so that's important. We need more air traffic controllers. We're 3,000 controllers short. And so right now we're working with the union. So when they hit 25 years, they can retire. Or if they hit 56, they can retire. How do we encourage air traffic controllers to stay on a little bit longer, serve their country longer as we get more young people into the business?
Have you made progress?
Well, how about stop telling them they're serving their country? How about you pay them a living wage? Pay them good wages. Give them a good retirement. Maybe don't tell them that they might be just fired on a whim. Who the fuck would want to work for the FAA right now? Who would want to do that? Nobody wants to work for this administration. They just fired a bunch of people for no fucking reason. That's the problem they have. They never own their shit. We need people to be patriotic and serve their country. They're not serving their country. They're doing a job. They're doing a job, and you guys are really shitty bosses.
Progress with those
with the union? Yeah, we're making progress. We're having good conversations with them.
How do you do that? Pay them a little more if they stay?
Yeah. So,
you want to get a lot of lives, just listen to RPT talk, so you'll get a lot of propaganda and lies from this POS. Why are you guys always the fucking dumbest? How come it's always the dumbest people that write in all caps? Every time. It's never somebody who can spell. Every time somebody comes into the chat and hits us with the all caps, it's always some moron who can't spell. You guys should not listen to this propaganda. Tell me about George Soros paying us next. We're ready for it. Now here we have this. So after that, after Sean Duffy's like, hey, everything's fucked up at the FAA. We need some help. I think maybe somebody nudged him like, hey, remember, if you go on TV, part of your job is to fillet the president on your way out. You got to glaze the shit out of this guy. He's having a bad day. Remember to tell everybody how great he is. And we're going straight North Korea here. I can't remember who this is. This is trying to remember who this is next to him. I can't remember. Just listen to Sean. Like, I don't know how he gets these words out with Trump's balls in his mouth, but this is tough to watch. Trigger warning. If you just ate, you may not want to watch this.
100 days, I'm dizzy, following everything he's doing. I can't keep up with him, let alone what all the other cabinet secretaries are doing and the president.
The president's been historic and how much he's done, how fast he's moving, and to be part of that, and our family to be part of it. Yeah. So we got to go to these White House events. And again, I think is that
his wife? Hold on, did he bring his wife? Hold on just a second. Gotta look. I think that's his wife. Yeah, did he get in trouble too? How come all these Republicans have to get babysat by their wife? Yeah, that's his wife. What the fuck is going on over there? Sorry, guys, I can only come on the show if my wife comes too. She doesn't trust me.
We'll look back, 20 years from now.
She's the host? Jesus Christ. Let me start that over. I didn't know that was his wife.
Be part of that and our family to be part of it. Yeah. So we got to go to these White House events. And again, I think as we'll look back, 20 years from now, 30 years from now and go, this man fundamentally changed the way that America works and the relationship that we have with our government. And to be part of that, I still pinch myself that I got to call the president and he'll pick up my call or call me back. It's really remarkable. And he's just, I saw him yesterday. He doesn't stop.
I know.
Guys, you would not believe him. He can use a telephone. He calls me back. It's amazing. He's done so much for this country. What has he done? Republicans in the chat, what's he done? You can't have it both ways, because every time we say he didn't do anything, you go, it's only been 100 days. Well, but then tell them that. Tell Sean Duffy that. Because he's accomplished so much in his first 100 days. What? But besides tanking the stock market, besides the dumbest trade war in the history of the world, what has he done? Well, he signed a lot of executive orders. He's just fucked things up. That's all he's done. He's turned us more white nationalists.
He's late for a meeting, and he's talking to people, and he's talking about policy, and he's signing executive orders, and he has so much energy, and he's so joyful.
He's got like
he's
7 o'clock at night,
extremely.
and there's a call from the president saying, "Sean, what about if we do blah 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 blah?" I mean, it's amazing. He doesn't stop.
No, I'll call him at 8, 9, 10 in the morning, and if he's busy, he'll call me back at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, right? But he calls people back, and he's so engaged with.
Yeah, that's his job, dude. You work for him. Can you imagine somebody say, my boss actually responds to me? That's bare minimum. Like, what are we doing here? Glazing the shit out of this guy. He called me back 12 hours later. Can you believe it? The audience, oh my God, he called you back later in the day. Oh, this is Jesus reincarnated. This is gross. This is so gross.
To all the departments, it's just wonderful.
And the children are doing well. You can.
And the children are doing. What has he done? We got the MAGA triggered in the chat today. Keep it coming, guys. It's good to have you here. All right, here's one thing he did today. This is weird. This is just really, really weird. This is an executive order that Trump put out this morning. Did I miss a comment there? I think I did. Oh, no, I didn't. It's strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. A little wordy there, and you're going to see what we're doing here. So, purpose and policy. Basically, they say like that safe communities rely on the backbone and heroism of a tough and well-equipped police force. Not necessarily. In fact, there's very little evidence that a safe community has anything to do with a tough, well-equipped police force. In fact, the toughest and most well-equipped police forces usually are police forces in more violent communities, and usually their use of force leads to more violence. The peaceful police forces who don't use violence tend to be in places where things are a bit more peaceful and there's less crime. Now we're talking about when local leaders demonize law enforcement and impose legal and political handcuffs that make aggressively enforcing the law impossible. Crime thrives and innocent citizens and small business owners suffer. I got to bring it up again. Crime is at historic lows. I don't know what I don't know. Like, I guess it's just easy to trick you guys into thinking like we're in this really, really dark world where crime is just overrunning our country. But that's not true. Crime is at near historic lows. It has been for a while, specifically violent crime. We saw an uptick in COVID, and that's to be expected. In fact, if Trump continues down this path, we're probably going to see more crime because when people lose jobs, when we have increased rates of poverty, crime goes up. The best thing you can do to prevent people from committing crime is have a society where you have the fewest amount of poor people as you possibly can. And our side, we think that means that you should help poor people. And their side thinks that means you should get rid of poor people. Just throw them in jail. Throw them, maybe send them to El Salvador. So here's what they're talking about now. The Attorney General shall take all appropriate action to create a mechanism to provide legal resources and indemnification to law enforcement officers who unjustly incur expenses and liabilities for actions taken during their performance of their official duties to enforce the law. States' rights? No, not states' rights. Now we're going to tell the police what to do from a federal level. I think a lot of this stems from Trump's anger in his first administration, that when people protested, he wasn't allowed to just shoot them in the leg or hit them with rubber bullets. He doesn't like protesters. He thinks they're inconvenient. He doesn't like people using their First Amendment right. And when police overreact, he loves that. And so he doesn't want police officers to be able to be sued. So if a police officer is just violent to you, Trump doesn't want them to be able to be sued. This mechanism shall include the use of private sector pro bono assistance for such law enforcement officers. This is what Trump has been doing. This is why he keeps targeting specific law firms. He's written like 4 or 5 executive orders that target law firms who have sued him or hired somebody who had sued him. And every time the settlement is that they're
for
going to
the
give
sub.
pro bono services. So Trump is basically now he's just shaking down law offices and saying, "Hey, when we get a little aggressive here, we're going to need you to represent us pro bono, please. We're going to use those pro bono hours you've promised us." They want to empower state and local law enforcement to provide new best practices to state and local law enforcement to aggressively police communities. Again, top-down approach. We're not doing states' rights anymore. That's only for taking people's rights away. Expand access and improve the quality of training. I like that idea, but I bet their quality of training is going to be more like physical training and not things like trying to keep people calm, trying to de-escalate. I don't think that will be what they do. Increase pay and benefits for law enforcement officers. Strengthen and expand legal protections for law enforcement officers. If anything, we need to weaken the legal protections for law enforcement officers. We've seen time and time again. I live in Mesa, Arizona. Google it right now. Google Mesa, Arizona police lawsuit. And you're just going to keep finding time after time the Mesa PD killing people and then getting away with it. People who didn't were no threat, who didn't have weapons, and they were just killed by Mesa PD. Seek enhanced sentences for crimes against law enforcement officers. Oh, so now if you hurt a citizen, that's one thing. But if you hurt a law enforcement officer, you should get a harsher sentence, which is a fucking crazy thing for this administration to do because they just pardoned a bunch of violent criminals who assaulted law enforcement officers. It's hard for me to believe that you guys care about the police. What this looks an awful lot like is Trump preparing law enforcement to do what he wants them to do, to go after people who he sees as an enemy. Maybe people just protesting him, because he certainly didn't give a shit about the people who beat up Capitol Police. Didn't care about that at all. Promote investment in the security and capacity of prisons. Good. Yeah. We need more people in prison. We got to up the capacity. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? We already imprison more of our population than any other country. And we're like, yeah, we got to do more of that. Sonny, you live in Mesa. Yeah, so you know, Sonny. You know. Increase the investment in and collection, distribution, and uniformity of crime data across jurisdictions. Within 60 days of this order, the Attorney General shall review all ongoing federal consent decrees, out-of-court agreements, and post-judgment orders to which a state or local law enforcement agency is a party, and modify, rescind, or move to conclude such measures that unduly impede the performance of all law enforcement functions. Everybody who's got a lawsuit right now against a police officer, if your politics are of the left, your case is about to be dismissed. If you had a law enforcement officer abuse you and Trump agrees with it, then your case is about to be dismissed. Jesus fucking Christ, guys. Jesus fucking Christ. The police state is here. Let's talk to the Republicans in the chat if you guys are here. Let's talk to you guys in the chat. I want to know why you like such big government. I want to know why you want a police state. What's going on here? Why are we pro-police state all of a sudden? It's weird. I can't get my chat to refresh. Let me try that one. What are we doing, Republicans? Why are we doing this? Trudy, the stream is showing private on YouTube for the horizontal. Yeah. It screwed us up yesterday when we ran both. So the horizontal stream is private and the vertical stream should be public. Jen, do you want to make sure that it's public? If you want the horizontal stream, go to Twitch. But yeah, it was too much of a nightmare having both going yesterday. Do we have any answers to that from our Republican friends? Why we're doing we aren't a police state. We are just abiding by the law. Remember that we are law abiding. No. This is a police state. AIG, I understand we're not in a police state right now. They're going to turn us into a police state. Within 90 days of the date of this order, the Attorney General and Secretary of Defense, in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security and heads of agencies, shall increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local motherfucking jurisdictions. Remember yesterday when we talked in that debate? The guy's like, oh, all fascists take our guns. Well, that's martial law. Under martial law, you don't have a right to your gun. Donald Trump and Pam Bondi on day 1 or 2 sat down together and they talked about the legal process of taking people's guns without due process, by the way. They advocate that without due process, you should lose the rights to your gun. By the way, the thing that they're advocating, I actually agree with. I actually think it's a good law. I think that if you are accused of domestic assault or domestic abuse, that you should lose access to your weapons until you've gone through your court case. I don't think that you should have access to weapons while you're going through that. But we're here. Shall increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. So what does that mean? What is a national security asset? It's obviously equipment, right? We do this already. We take excess military equipment and we put it into the hands of the state. Give people, think of Waco. Like the police, for some reason, had tanks, right? Where did they get tanks? There was excess military. But the assets makes me nervous. Assets makes me really nervous. I don't know what that means. They're not defining what it means here. Are we going to have the National Guard now policing our streets? Like, swear to God, like this is fucking Russia, guys. You want to know why there's no crime in Moscow? Because they're in a police state, a constant state of surveillance. You guys have gone from freedom-loving patriots to watch me harder, daddy, so goddamn fast. Maybe that's what Sean Duffy was talking about. Donald Trump has turned all these freedom-loving patriots into die-hard cucks who just want to be watched all the time and who want a police officer on every corner. You guys don't get... If you give a fuck about freedom, it's time for you guys to say something too. It's time for you guys to start talking about this. Within 90 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Attorney General, shall determine how military and national security assets, training, non-lethal capabilities, and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. It is unconstitutional to use our military in policing. It is unconstitutional unless we have a declaration of war or martial law. Within 90 days, we're talking about, I don't know if he's going to declare martial law, but within 90 days, we're talking about the effectively martial law. For what reason? Why are we doing this? Crime is at all-time lows. What the fuck are we doing here? No, what do you mean, no, it isn't, Jake? Why is this not martial law? Tell me the difference between taking the military and having them policing the streets and martial law. What's the difference? Like, if Donald Trump came out and said, like, I'm just going to get rid of all liberals, you guys would just go along with it. Raise your hand if you would be okay with Donald Trump deporting me. Let's see. Donald Trump says, this guy RTP, he's saying shit about me that I'm calling it a lie. Let's just say he says I'm a liar. How many of you, raise your hands, would be okay with him getting rid of me or imprisoning me? For, let's just say, lying. There it is. You're a liar, bro. You're a liar, bro. This is his words. These are his words, Republicans. What am I lying about? This is whitehouse.gov, dude. Whitehouse.gov. I would love it. See, that's what I'm talking about. You guys are just fascists. You're also both bitches, by the way. That's why you hide behind screens. You're just both bitches. There we go. Deanna, too. Look at this. Be proud of it, Republicans. Who else wants me out of here? Who else thinks I should be thrown in prison? Hands up. Hands up. Daniel, there we go. Heart bleeds for you. There we go. Nah, keep it going. Keep it going. Who else? Who else thinks I should be thrown in prison? Yeah. Yeah. You're exactly who we say you are. You're exactly who we say you are. You're all fascists. And if you're not, and if you're a Republican here, let me just say, if you're here and you think that this is wrong, start asking yourself why so many fucking fascists are on your side. And do you really want to be aligned with that? Is that a good thing that you have the president up here putting out executive orders saying that we're going to use the military in the streets, and you got your Republican friends here in the chat saying that I should be thrown in jail? Just ask yourself, do we like this? Is this what you voted for? Is this freedom? Is this what America's all about? No, I want you to stay, Jake. You're the one that raised your hand when I said, who thinks I should be thrown in jail? You raised your hand. Don't be a bitch now. Don't bitch out from it now. I don't think you should be in jail. I think you should be educated a little more. Don't be a bitch now. Stand on business. Yeah, I raised my hand so you could get $5 million to go. Damn, thank you. Pay me $5 million. I'm out. If you guys want me to be quiet, Republicans, $5 million. I'm gone. I'm in Mexico the rest of my life. Within 90 days of this order, the Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Attorney General, shall determine how military and national security assets, training, non-lethal capabilities, and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. This is batshit crazy. He's gonna do it. He's gonna fucking do it. It's here. Fascism's here. You're in or you're out. Unfortunately, a lot of you guys are in. Fortunately for us, most of you are stupid, and that's gonna work out well for us. That's gonna work out. Let's see. The Attorney General shall pursue all necessary legal remedies and enforcement measures to enforce the rights of Americans impacted by crime, and shall prioritize prosecution of any applicable violations of federal criminal law with respect to state and local jurisdictions whose officials willfully and unlawfully direct the obstruction of criminal law. This is what now they're saying we're going to arrest judges. And we're going to arrest judges if we think they broke the law. We're not going to let the judges decide. We are going to arrest them, including by directly and unlawfully prohibiting law enforcement officers from carrying out duties necessary for public safety and law enforcement. Does it matter if those law enforcement officers have a signed warrant from a judge? Does it matter if they are overstepping their rights? It does not. It does not. They do not care about rights. They do not care about due process, and they're putting it in word now. We're going to arrest whoever the fuck we want. Unlawfully engaging in discrimination or civil rights violations under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that restrict law enforcement activity or endanger citizens. I don't even know what we're talking about there. But again, this is just racist, sexist, bigoted bullshit. If you try and stop us because we are targeting certain people that we don't like, then you're going to jail too. God damn, what the fuck are we doing here? Tell me the difference between this and the start of the Nazis saying that they were going to round up Jewish people. And if you get in the way, if you're hiding a Jewish person in your house, they're going to come in and they're going to arrest that Jewish person and they're going to arrest you. What's the difference? Somebody explain it to me. What's the fucking difference? You might say, oh, well, these immigrants are here illegally. Well, they thought the Jewish people were there illegally too. What's the fucking difference? Oh, wait. What's the difference? I'm helping immigrants evade ICE, yeah. Come on, MAGA, what's the difference? Talon, what's the difference?
Hey, you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I hear you.
Okay. We have someone who'd like to chat with you.
Oh.
It's a good time to pause, but I want to do some nonsense before you.
Yeah, do your thing. Do you have them in a different VC? Oh, I see.
Yeah. When I'm done with my announcements, I'll drag you over there.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
All right. I think Jay mentioned this before. If you look in the top left-hand corner, we have a gift quote that we try to hit each day to keep our lights on. As much as people complain and say, get a job. This is our job. We're crowdfunded, so that's how we keep doing this each day. As much as you guys hate it, so Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards knocking out the rest of that balance. We're gonna do this Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. If you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch, please do so. You can use an Amazon Prime sub. Subscribe to us over on YouTube, and if you could also like the stream, that helps as well. We have 4 different memberships over on YouTube, and also check out our link tree for the different socials that we are on and our merchandise. We, like I mentioned earlier, when you disagree with Jay, if you'd like to come up and talk with this next person is going to, how you do so is you look at the Venmo. That's my Discord username. You can DM me on Discord, and I can bring you to talk to him. So that's how you do that. So like I said, if you could help knock out that gift goal, we would appreciate it. How do you tell the sex of an ant?
I do not know.
Drop it in a glass of water. If it sinks, girl ant. If it floats, boy ant.
It's so stupid. Joe said, and some of them are legally here. Yeah, that's right. All right. You dragging me in there, Jen? What's up, Corbin?
Howdy, how are you, pimp?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing fine today. So, firstly, I'd like to pride you on, you're breaking liberal stereotypes right now. You at least carry yourself like a man, and that goes a long way with me. So I have missed about the last 5 to 10 minutes while I've been, in the waiting lobby. Is there anything major that I missed?
I was just reading I don't know how much you saw. I was just reading Trump's executive order where he's saying that we're going to use the military as police now.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, as the people, because I'm a conservative Republican guy, or at least far right wing.
Sure.
Having more government is never what you want. And it seems like a lot of campaign promises are kind of going back on. I know that our elected officials seem to be all gung-ho on it. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be the Republicans who are saying, hey, if it's all liberals and Democrats and we can deport them, that we would be for that, because that's obviously unconstitutional. But
Sure.
it's going to turn to a police state over my fucking dead body. I mean, there's reasons to include the police and the military in certain areas. Like I could see you doing that in the Valley. If you're familiar where the Valley is, South Texas, where you've got all kinds of rampant cartel crime and stuff like that. But instituting martial law is unconstitutional as a motherfucker unless it's wartime.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But also, on the other hand, you talked about kind of January 6th and what that was. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, already, you saw the video of her where she's like, I take full responsibility for this. This is my fault. This is all my fault.
Well, what she actually, just to be clear, what she actually said is, I wish I would have done more. I could
said it's my fault.
She didn't. You won't hear it. I could play the clip for the chat, but she definitely didn't say that. She said, I should have done more. This is a
whole lot more. But I could have sworn she said it's my fault.
No,
it's my fault. You saw her
this is
in the back of the limousine with her kid filming.
Let me see if we can get on the same page here. Who's the commander in chief?
That's Donald J. Trump.
Okay,
that was in his first term.
Okay, so who was in charge of the National Guard? Well, the DC National Guard.
He requested to have it put in, right? Didn't he need like some sort of request? There was like some sort of middle ground there that had to happen.
Well, the request had been made already, right? So they were on standby.
Why did they ever go?
Good question. How could Nancy Pelosi stop the National Guard from going in? The only scenario where Nancy Pelosi would have been over the National Guard is if both Trump and Pence were incapacitated. She's third in line as Speaker of the House. There were two people in line ahead of her, Pence.
So you're essentially
telling
Trump. Me that it was essentially Mike Pence's and Donald Trump's fault that the National Guard wasn't out there?
Trump's fault, not Mike Pence's. Mike Pence was making phone calls begging them to bring in the National Guard, and nobody would listen to him. It's 100% Trump's fault.
So there's, unlike a regular coin, there's three sides to this one. Now we have to look at the FBI and their deep state, obviously left-wing collusion.
What does the FBI? What does the FBI have to do with the National Guard?
Gray apps, dude.
No.
We need to go in there.
I don't think you heard my question. What does the FBI have to do with the National Guard?
With the National Guard, nothing. But they have everything to do with the fact that they went into the Capitol. They have everything. In fact, the first window that was broken was by an FBI agent.
Okay, but who's to say that those FBI agents weren't, like, this is during Trump's administration, under Trump's FBI director. The FBI is overwhelmingly conservative. Why would you assume that an FBI agent was working against Trump when they broke in? By the way, Ray Epps, I agree with you.
That's a huge conflict of interest. That goes right against everything that he wanted. It obviously created quite the clusterfuck for him, and that's kind of foreseeable.
Wait, you think that Donald Trump didn't like that this happened?
Hell no.
So why did he pardon it? Then why did he pardon them?
Well, because they were trying to literally like give these people years and years in prison, and what it was a tour of the fucking.
It was a tour. So
the Capitol.
Why did you say it was a tour?
It was a guided tour.
It was. So people didn't go and beat the shit out of cops.
No, I think there was some injuries, but the cop that died it was a heart attack, dude.
Some injury. Okay, did the people? What happened first? Did the people storm the Capitol and beat up police, or did they open the doors first?
I think that they started beating police up first. Isn't that right?
That's right. And so if you've watched the testimony from the police officers who opened the doors, the reason they went and they opened doors for people is they were trying to move people away from the entrance, places where they couldn't get to Congress, and they were overwhelmed. So what they did is they started opening doors, and because literally everybody there is just a sheep, they just followed. And so that was was an event that actually saved more lives. That was an event that kept people safer. But it is absolutely crazy to me that that on your side of the aisle you see a video of people showing up in Trump gear, beating up police, chanting "Hang Mike Pence." They're trying to overturn an election, and Trump stands by and does nothing. Doesn't ever send in the National Guard, and then you have found a way to ignore reality and blame fucking Ray Epps, who's a Trump supporter, and the Capitol Police and Nancy Pelosi. No. You guys, no.
Know that he had the hat on. I mean, you're undercover FBI.
He said he was a Trump supporter. He was not undercover. The FBI did not know he was there.
Is that what the FBI said?
Correct.
The FBI is the last
Trump's
people in the
FBI
entire world that we can
Trump's
trust. I mean,
Trump's
they were
FBI
part of killing
Trump's
Kennedy
FBI.
and MLK.
Excuse me. Trump's FBI.
Yes, sir.
You don't trust Trump,
all of it.
So
FBI
why can't
was after him the whole time? That's the same FBI that went and raided Melania's panty drawers, but yet,
brother,
whenever
listen,
Biden had a whole bunch of documents in his garage,
with all due respect, now you're playing whataboutism. You guys are terrified to have a real discussion. You like your whole side.
Well, I'm not
let me finish.
I'm
let me finish, please. You guys are terrified to stay on subject. So let's fucking stay on subject. Let's talk about the events as they rolled out on January 6th. Trump has a rally at the Trump's.
You can't trust the
let's
FBI.
talk about
the
it,
FBI
please. Excuse me.
Trump.
Let's talk about what happened first, and let's see if before we blame the FBI, let's see if you're willing to live in reality.
All right. I mean,
January
I feel like
6th. January 6th.
I really do.
I know, but and that's why I'm saying. So let's test it, because I think that I'm going to say things that maybe your normal news organizations or normal sources wouldn't say. Let's just see where we can find common ground. January 6th
I'm
was
very like Alex Jones.
January 6th was a planned protest. That was to follow Trump's speech at the Ellipse. Right? We're on board with that.
Yeah, and he did tell him.
Well, let me finish. No. Just stay with me. At that lip speech, were there multiple people that said things like fight, and they didn't add the caveat of doing it peacefully?
Oh, that's totally true. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with you that Trump said we are going to march the Capitol, and he said peacefully and patriotically. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, no, that was the exact quote. Yeah,
cool.
I didn't remember. Yeah, peacefully, patriotically is what he said.
Are you aware that many people showed up to that speech with firearms, and they were turned around, and Trump asked the Secret Service not to turn them around, said they are not going to hurt me? Are you aware that people showed up with firearms?
Yeah, but firearms are cool.
Not in DC. Not in DC. They're not. It's against the law. But are you aware?
It's against the law to have guns in DC.
Let me
on Capitol grounds.
Oh yeah. Are you aware that there was a plan, not by Donald Trump, but there was an organized plan to not only storm the Capitol, but also take control of other government buildings? It was called Winter Palace. Are you aware of that plan?
Yeah, I think I'd heard of Winter Palace, but whose plan was that?
That was the Proud Boys.
Who did that?
That was the Proud Boys.
Oh, golly.
Okay. Are you aware that the Proud Boys had weapon caches all around outside of the city?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware?
Include the pipe bomb.
Pipe
bomb was FBI's, wasn't it?
No, we don't know about the pipe bomb. I think it's a guy named Ivan Rakin, who is a very Trump person. There's a
couple of open theories on it.
There's open theories, sure. Yeah, it's crazy that we don't know, because we know so much about that person. We know where they went. We know what the subway they got on. We know where they got off. We know the car that they got in. If we're going to talk about an FBI cover-up, I think we should look at the.
FBI definitely knows about that.
I agree with you. I also think it's Trump's FBI that knew about it, and I think it's them that covered it up. But we could disagree.
But
hold on,
FBI
let's just go back.
Let's
go back. Yes, absolutely. The FBI is conservative. The FBI has always been conservative. It's overwhelmingly conservative. Liberals have very little impact on the FBI. It's almost always.
Think it looks like
it's that. Almost.
I mean,
well, let's keep going back. Let's go back. So there's a plan to storm the Capitol. The people that stormed the Capitol, I think most of them, 95% of the people that stormed the Capitol that day, I don't think they knew what. I do not think they knew what they were doing. I think they thought because so many other people were doing it, and because they had been sent there by Trump, that what they were doing is okay. Would you agree with that?
That's probably absolutely totally true.
Okay.
What about the other 5%? What's your theory on the other 5%?
Let me just ask you: if you don't think you're breaking a law, but you break the law, should there still be consequences?
Yeah, but not like what they did. Like,
cool.
for example,
Good enough.
shaman, remember the guy who pretty much
Good
went,
enough.
he should have taken a shit
I understand.
on
We can go one-on-one. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. The 5% of the people that were there that knew what was going on, they were using those people, and they violently overthrew the Capitol, correct?
No, I'm not going to say they violently overthrew. It was a walking tour, and
excuse me.
A
So,
cop had a,
so when I see
had a heart attack.
when I see police officers being sprayed, when I see them being hit with metal poles, when I see one of them being pulled from their ranks, thrown to the ground, and beaten with a MAGA flag and an American flag, and he's being kicked on the ground, I'm supposed to say that's a peaceful tour?
Not that part. No,
okay, so there was a lot of violence.
That incident specifically,
a lot of violence.
No way anybody could argue that's not violent.
But there was a lot of violence, right? I would say that
I mean, if that's like you have like one or two instances of like things like that, it wasn't like absolute pandemonium. It was I mean, have
you heard the phone calls?
Like walking around looking at the paint.
Yeah. That's after. That's after they've already stormed in and broke through the Capitol.
That's I mean, because the whole thing seems like one big old.
They didn't let them in. They got beat up, and then they said they had no choice. They were outnumbered, and so when they let people in at that point, they tried to move them away from where Congress was, and that's why the QAnon shaman. By the way, the QAnon shaman and the two police officers who paraded him around, they have all testified to the exact same thing. They have all testified that they were walking him away from the trouble. The QAnon shaman, I live in Arizona. He lives 10 miles away from me.
Have you met the guy?
I have met.
You see him at the grocery store?
I met him when he was at a rally. I didn't meet him. I saw him at a rally. We'll say that.
Oh.
But he pled guilty. The thing that we have to remember is most of the people that were there that day pled guilty. Most of the people that were there that day did not get prison sentences. Most of them never went to prison, but they were charged with the crime and they do have a criminal record, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay. If you don't know that you can't storm the Capitol and go in, I think it's okay for you to have a criminal record. But the point is that Donald Trump sat there and watched it all unfold on TV, and at any point, he could have sent the National Guard. There is nobody that can overrule him. Nobody. He is the only person who could have sent the National Guard, and nobody could have stopped him. And he didn't do it.
I mean, I know. So maybe reasons is hopefully he was going to stay in another 4 years. Could that be a possibility? I mean, that one was totally rigged and jacked. That one was stolen left ways to Sunday.
Brother, that is, with all due respect, that is the dumbest fucking opinion. I live in Arizona. Dude, we've had 5 fucking audits. It's cost the taxpayers here like $100 million. We've had 5 audits all done by Republicans, and they can't find any fraud.
They must have done a real good job.
No, he lost, dude. He just lost. That's what happened. He lost.
I find it so hard to believe that.
I know, because you don't want to face reality. Brother, get it together. You're a grown-up. You're a grown-up. Trump's own FEC director said it's the safest and most secure election. His own FEC, the guy he put in charge.
Furthest thing from the
you just want to believe it.
Turn around and try to
Listen,
get him.
what part of Texas do you live in?
I'm from Bowie, Texas. It's a little bitty town in North Texas. Right now, I'm on a drilling rig location in West Texas.
So you grow up around conservatives, right?
I mean, I'm from the largest part of nothing but red counties without a dot of blue in the entire United States.
I don't mean this in a rude way. I grew up in the reddest of red places. I was a Republican into
Mesa.
I grew up in Utah.
Okay.
Deeply red, but Mesa's also deeply red. Very conservative where I live. I'm in Andy Biggs's district. Andy Biggs is as conservative as you get. But if you don't grow up around liberals, you don't know. You have no idea what we think. You don't know. Hold on. You don't know. You don't know because you live in an area of the country where Trump is very popular. So it's hard for you to imagine that there's other places in the country where he's deeply unpopular, including in Arizona. In Arizona, he went after John McCain, who is beloved. He said I like a war criminal, or I like a soldier who's not captured. All right.
Yeah, no,
From the
that
draft
was kinda
dodger.
crappy, but I don't like John McCain either. He's the reason in the UFC you got to wear gloves. He was kind of a rhino.
No, he's not the reason the
but,
UFC has to wear gloves. That's not true.
Oh, for sure.
No, it's not.
Called it human cockfighting.
Yeah, but that's not why they had to wear
He
gloves.
changed a lot of the rules.
Listen,
He's the reason that they have weight class.
Listen, I'm as big as a UFC fan as there is. I'm just telling you that's untrue. But he did oppose the UFC, and I agree with that. He was wrong opposing the UFC, but all that shit's not true. Either way, Donald Trump is the only person who could have stopped January 6th from happening, and he didn't. But why do you think they keep telling you Nancy Pelosi could?
Probably because she said I accept full responsibility.
Do you want me? I can play the clip. You want me to read her quote?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Sure.
I don't think you can hear the clip because we're on stream. I can play it for everybody else, and I'll read it to you.
Okay, for sure. That works fine.
Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, but no, I'm a combat sports coach on the side when I'm off, and that's why I don't like John McCain's, because I feel like he ruined my sport.
Well, it's done pretty well without him. All right, I'm going to play this for the audience real quick. I don't think you can hear it, but give me 1 sec. Actually,
Sure.
Let me do this. I actually think I can play it through Discord. Let me try this. I think I can actually share this with you. Let me do this. Oh, yeah, I can. Sweet. All right, you should be able to hear. Do you see my screen share there on Discord?
Yes, sir.
All
I
right.
see it says watch stream.
Yeah, click on watch stream. You'll be able to see this. Here's the quote from Nancy Pelosi. Shoot. I need one with she has a mask on. I need one with
Where she's in the
closed
limo.
captions.
You know what I'm talking about?
Let's
I'm talking
see.
about where she's in the limo and her daughter's recording her.
Let's see if I can find it here.
There's no way it's taken off X.
It's not taken off. I just don't know exactly what to search. Let's see. Is this it? Let's see. Let's see.
Oh, that's an interesting one where her daughter's pretty much saying.
No, don't. You want to watch it? I haven't seen it.
I think time is going to remember January 6th differently. Right now, people are still, there's two things. Media needs stuff to fill. I mean, if you watch TV on January 6th, it was like January 6th, 24/7. As time goes on, it's going to be less. Yeah. And so I think also people are going to lose their office, the jobs. The people that were there are going to lose their jobs. It's not going to mean anything if you weren't even there and you didn't even care.
We need like a water break out.
Yeah, no, it's right. No. Okay, I thank you for your time.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen,
So she just said the people are going to stop watching it. I don't know what that is. Let me.
Yeah, so you need to capitalize and never waste a good crisis.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they set it up, right?
It
doesn't. Wait, no. Be honest.
It's very, very
be honest.
possible.
Does that? Okay.
There it is, right there. I think that's it, right there.
All right,
and it has captions too.
Perfect. There we go.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they had. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
So I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more. So what does that mean? Can Nancy Pelosi call? Can Nancy Pelosi call in the national? Let's just say I agree. She's saying that she didn't do enough, but let's talk about what she could actually do as Speaker of the House. What could the Speaker of the House done to get the National Guard there?
I mean, get them out there to cover her ass, but I mean, there's reasons
No.
why
What
she
could
might
she
not
do?
want to.
Well,
You
no,
already-
like what's within her power that she could have done?
She can get him out there.
How?
Give him a call, pick up the telephone.
They don't respond. She's not in charge of them. Let me show you a letter.
Well, then why would she take responsibility and accountability for it?
She said
if it's not even possible.
Well, she didn't say that. Now you're adding words, right?
But she said accountability at the beginning. I forget in what context.
Yeah, accountability for not being prepared.
Yeah, how else could she have prepared with the National
That's what I'm
Guard,
asking
which is
you. That's
she
what I'm
was
asking
talking
you.
about?
What is within her purview?
I would figure just giving him a call. And what am I missing here?
What you're missing here is that Donald Trump is the one that was in charge. Let me show you this letter. This is from the at the time acting Secretary of Defense. So the National Guard in Washington D.C. The National Guard usually is under the jurisdiction of the governor of the state. But on January, the D.C. National Guard, they report actually to the Army, to the Secretary of the Army, because there's no governor in Washington, D.C. So it's the only National Guard that reports directly to the Secretary of the Army. This is a letter that went out to from Christopher Miller. He said, this memorandum responds to your January 4th memorandum regarding the District of Columbia request for D.C. National Guard support in response to planned demonstrations from January 5th to 6th. So somebody, and in this case, it was the mayor of D.C., asked for D.C. National Guard to be ready for support on January 5th and January 6th. You are what he said here is you, Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., are authorized to approve the requested support subject to my guidance below and subject to consultation with the Attorney General. Without my subsequent personal authorization, so this is Christopher Miller, who is in charge of the D.C. National Guard, and he reports to Donald Trump as commander-in-chief. He said, without my authorization, the D.C. National Guard is not authorized the following. They're not authorized to be issued weapons, ammunition, bayonets, batons, ballistic protection equipment like helmets and body armor. They are not authorized to interact physically with protesters, except when necessary in self-defense or defense of others. They are not authorized to employ any riot control agents. They are not authorized to share equipment with law enforcement agencies. They are not authorized to use intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets to conduct incident awareness and assessment activities. They are not authorized to employ helicopters to conduct searches, seizures, arrests, or other similar direct law enforcement activity, or to seek support from any non-DC National Guard units. Now, he says at all times, this is the important part, at all times, the D.C. National Guard will remain under the operational and administrative command and control of the commanding general of the D.C. National Guard, who reports to the Secretary of Defense through the Secretary of the Army. So the only people that could have authorized the D.C. National Guard were the Secretary of the Army through the Secretary of Defense or Donald Trump.
Not even the mayor? Because, I mean, I'm seeing people in the chat say
Correct.
the mayor could have done it.
No.
I'm seeing people say that Trump offered to send the National Guard, but
let me read. Well, these are all things that you guys have been told, but this is the letter. Just hear this again. At all times. At all times. Is there any variance there? All times means every minute of every...
No. There's no,
right?
there's no variables.
So at all times, the D.C. National Guard will remain under the operational and administrative command and control of the commanding general of the D.C. National Guard, who reports to the Secretary of Defense through the Secretary of the Army. Do you see any wiggle room there where the mayor of D.C. would be able to call in the National Guard or the Speaker of the House?
Not in the email. I didn't know it was up to an email, but
yeah,
I totally get it.
Yeah. So on January 6th, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mike Pence, they were all calling Christopher Miller. And they couldn't get Christopher Miller on the phone. And Donald Trump wouldn't answer any of their calls. You can go look through, they were calling his chief of staff.
And he didn't pick it up.
He wouldn't answer their calls. His own kids were begging him to send the National Guard, and he wouldn't listen.
Really?
Yes. Don Jr.
Where's that coming from?
Don Jr. If you can go and watch the testimony from J6. These were all in depositions. Both Ivanka.
You don't strike me as a liar. If you say they did, yeah, just where did you read that?
Well, I could probably show it to you. Let's see. Let's see.
But then are we going to pretend for a second like Nancy Pelosi operates within the realm of law, like she obeys the law at all? How much is
It
that
doesn't
home
matter.
worth
It's not about how she operates. It's about how people respond to her. So
Well, I mean,
if you're
that's
saying
what I'm
like,
saying.
I understand you're
Should be a
saying,
total part of it.
look, I think you're probably saying that Nancy Pelosi clearly does insider trading. I agree with that. It's pretty fucking
She does
clear.
all kinds of shit.
I agree with
Security, but she does
that.
everything she can.
I agree with that. But that doesn't mean that she can call in the National Guard and that they'll listen to her. She had no authority to call in the National Guard. I just read you the letter. There was a handful of people who could call in the National Guard. Even Mike Pence couldn't do it. He was begging. Mike Pence was begging every Republican he could get on the phone. You can watch the clips of Mike Pence calling and saying like, dude, can we get the fucking National Guard? Except for he didn't say fucking because it's Mike Pence. But I mean, this is where I have a problem with our country. And frankly, my biggest problem with Donald Trump is that we can't agree on what reality is. And the reality is you guys lost an election and Donald Trump convinced a bunch of people it was stolen. The crux of it, like the 2000 Mules, that movie that everybody used as evidence that they've had to apologize and they've admitted that they did not have evidence, that the evidence in that movie was made up. They've been forced to acknowledge that it was made up.
Really? And they came out with a statement on that.
Yeah, I can,
essentially saying it wasn't true.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see. This is from NPR, but it's from Dinesh D'Souza, who was the filmmaker. He said in a statement that the film and the book of the same name were based on cell phone geolocation data collected by an organization called True the Vote. That's a Texas-based nonprofit.
Did Nancy not have the power through Trump? I saw this in the chat. It said none of this matters because Trump offered the National Guard to Nancy, so she had the power through him and his office.
That's what that letter I was showing you was. This letter this letter is them saying, yes, here's the National Guard and here's what they can do, and we're under control. So the letter I read you is a response to Muriel Bowser requesting the National Guard. And on the 5th, by the way, there's another letter that on the 5th, they're basically checking in, and they ask Muriel Bowser on the 5th, do you need National Guard? And she's like, no, I don't need National Guard today. Like, it's fine. And that's because on the 5th, there was nothing going on. There was like a few like rallies, and they're like, our police has it under control. And basically they were saying like for traffic control. Like there's planned protests.
So you don't believe there's any underlying motives at all? On the left, there's just no plausible way that there could be some kind of plan put in place here. Is that kind of your stance?
Bro, January 6th was...
That's also kind of a wild opinion, too.
January 6th, what was happening on that day? What process...
bullshit.
No, what process were they trying to stop?
They were trying to stop the stolen election.
The certification, right?
Yep, that's right.
Why the fuck would we try and stop that? Why would we try and stop that process?
You look at what happened under. Were you here for the Biden administration?
No. Why would
you seem like you're lucid and more lucid than he was.
Why would we try and stop Joe Biden from taking over and give it back to Donald Trump?
Did you see what Biden did? He wasn't even there. He was gone.
So you think
he wasn't even present?
Let's go with that, okay? Let's go with that. So you're saying that the Democrats saw that Joe Biden was too old and thought last minute, oh, we better save this and overturn the election and give control back to Trump.
No,
okay, then why would we do it? Then why would we stop it?
To where we can make like Trump led an insurrection against the country and paint Trump as a traitor. You know, they're not stupid people. They like control, and that's
let me ask you this.
And be able to control, because I mean, look at who was saying a lot of what you're saying. You have CNN, MSNBC,
wait, hold on,
ABC,
hold on.
All of the news that is known for lying.
Hold on,
to us.
Let's talk about the people that were involved. Is there a single person who went before the courts and blamed Nancy Pelosi or the Democrats?
They never put Ray Epps before the court.
Are there any people who went before?
And I think they had
Excuse
their
me,
eyes
come on,
dotted
man.
and their
Hey, listen, be good faith.
crossed, man. I think
It feels like right now
Yes, sir.
you don't want to answer my
what?
question. So you're going to answer questions
Yeah.
I'm not asking.
Okay, so no, I'll answer your question. Forgive me.
Okay. Was there anybody who went before the courts and said, I was actually here at the direction of the Democrats?
Not before the courts, but I mean, even the court.
Let me ask you a second
kind of
question.
whole
Why,
sham operation.
if these people were there for the Democrats, and if they didn't do anything wrong, why did the overwhelming majority of them plead guilty?
Well, because they're faced with time.
Okay.
It's the same reason, like whenever you get a
Fair enough.
mobster
Fair enough. Last question. If these
there and you're like, hey,
last
here's
question on this one, and then you can go. If all of these people were plants by the DNC, and they did it just to make Trump look bad, then why the fuck?
Yeah.
Then why the fuck did he pardon all of them?
Or I'd say deep state. I wouldn't necessarily.
Why did he pardon all of them?
Because like grandma.
No, he
walking
pardoned all of
did
them.
nothing
No.
wrong.
He pardoned all of them, even the violent
Even the ones that were out there whooping cops' ass.
Yeah,
like
if
the
they
guy
were-
who, like
Yeah.
the guy who smacked the cop with a pole.
If they weren't there for him, why is he pardoning
really,
them?
You're. I don't know if you go smacking a cop with a pole that I don't know. So
Trump pardoned
I
him.
disagree with Trump on a lot.
Trump pardoned him. Trump pardoned every violent offender. Trump, the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, was sentenced to, I think, like 40 years for seditious conspiracy.
Oh, see,
where
now
other hold on.
that's
Other Proud Boys. The reason that his case was so open and shut is other Proud Boys testified against him, and they had all of his chat logs, and they had the plan, the Winter Palace plan, and you could read it out. It was the easiest case to win. It was remarkably easy to win. So why are the Proud Boys then?
They covered up a lot.
So
for
wait,
Epps.
excuse me. So the Proud Boys have this whole plan together that they're going to overthrow but they're secretly like Democrat operatives.
Oh no, I won't say that. I say there are a lot of retarded soy boys that are betas
Do
and
me,
want to
do me,
pretend like
do me a
they're
favor.
alphas. That's
Do me a
what I'd say
favor.
for that
Do me a
group.
favor. I realize that that's
Struggling
not like.
members.
Do me a favor and don't use that slur on here, please. Is that cool?
What did I say?
The R slur. Look.
I don't even know what the R slur is.
You said retarded.
Cuss word that starts.
Yeah, just don't use that on this stream. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
I forgot that word got taken away from us. You got it. You got it.
Appreciate that. Thank you. So this is a problem.
still-
This is a problem. Like do you have any link?
still,
Do you have any link to Nancy Pelosi outside of things that you think look suspicious? Do you have any hard evidence?
Other than things that look suspicious, I mean, I think they did a good job of crossing their T's and dotting their I's.
So they're just great. They're just great at
well
it.
executed plan to try to paint Trump supporters as traitors to the nation.
So in
yeah, they've been great at it. I mean, you
so
saw
in
how
this
good they
well
were whenever Kennedy died,
in
when
this
MLK died,
in
killing
this
him and getting home.
listen, brother, I hate to tell you, Kennedy was a Democrat, and it was the right wing led.
Dude, no, for sure, for sure.
But hold on, wait, hold on. Let's just go. Hold on, let's
just.
just go back here. Let's just go back. What you're saying is Democrats are so good. Democrats are so good that we were able to convince people to go to jail, lie that they were there to support Donald Trump. They were able to convince the Proud Boys to come up with this plan. They were able to convince Trump to hold a rally on January 6th. They were able to convince Charlie Kirk to bus in a bunch of Turning Point USA people to come to that speech. They were able to convince all these Republicans to put out ads all over the country that they would get on planes. They were singing the anthem, dressed in their MAGA gear. We're so goddamn good at this that we convinced all you guys to come to a speech. Then we convinced all of you to attack the Capitol, and we didn't leave a single trace of evidence. That's what you're willing to believe. But just to be clear, you're willing.
Agents running around saying
you're willing to believe all of that, rather than just believe that maybe your guy's a criminal.
We've got a new subscriber.
No, I wouldn't say he's a criminal. Not nearly like the Biden.
34 felonies. He's a criminal. Joe Biden is not a criminal. 0 felonies. Listen, brother. I'll walk you through this. I'll walk you through this after if you want. But I just want to be clear on what you're saying here. You're saying that we are so goddamn good, and maybe that MAGA is so goddamn dumb that we were able to manipulate all of we were able to manipulate all of you guys into storming the Capitol to make Trump look bad. Trump, who by the way had just lost to a guy that can't complete sentences.
I didn't do it. There's something we should, pay attention to is that what is it, 3/4 to a little over 50% of the population of the United States have an IQ of under 100, which is ridiculous.
And what per,
There's
and
a lot of dumb people out there. So I'm
and
not saying that I was fooled or convinced or that you're behind all of it. I say it's the people that are really in charge.
okay,
that
but
make
I'm
the
just
money
saying,
move around, you know?
what you believe is that we tricked that many people into doing it, and you're willing to believe that over all the evidence, all the guilty
sure.
all the guilty pleas, all the video evidence, all the people from Trump's own administration who have come out and testified against him. You are not willing to believe any of that, but you will believe that somehow Nancy Pelosi orchestrated this without a single drop of evidence. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not.
How
No,
do you-
no, no, no. I don't think that's a good.
How do you think the rest of the
way
world
to
looks at
paint
this?
my opinions. I've conceded quite a bit on this, and in fact, my views on it have moved a little bit as far as what the rules were, and you kind of outlined quite a bit for me. But yeah, I'll absolutely say there's still absolute sufficient evidence that there's some horse shit afoot.
What?
Like we still haven't really dove
Like
into
what?
fucking the FBI. I think the FBI
What about
did
him?
it. The FBI
So one of the things that you
fucking
have
everything.
So the evidence against the FBI is that they had multiple, I think it was somewhere around like 20, might have been 30 something sources there on the ground, right?
And I'm not whispering in people's ears. We need to go.
Wait,
in the
right?
Capitol. We need
Wait,
to go in the Capitol.
wait,
We
right
need to-
though? Like
we need
that.
to storm it.
Wait,
We need to break the windows.
that's what they said, right? The FBI has confirmed that they had, I don't remember how many. Let's call it 35 sources.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the crowd started
Now
cheering.
let me
Fed,
ask you
Fed,
let me
Fed,
ask
Fed,
you another
Fed.
question. Have any did the FBI know that any of those people were there at the time?
Oh, guarantee they do. The FBI. That's
Do you have
their
any
whole
evidence?
job.
Do you have any evidence of that? Because the FBI
that
said
they did. Oh, because it's the FBI. The FBI knows everything.
these-
They know when
but
you
wait,
sneeze shit and
do you
fart
know what
around
an
the corner.
FBI source is? Is that a member of the
What
FBI?
an FBI source is?
Yeah.
No, not directly.
No. So these sources mostly are
They're a
people.
hand of the FBI.
These people are mostly sources, people that the FBI goes to spy on people, specifically right wing.
Exactly. Or to do a job that helps them.
Specifically, right wing terrorist organizations like the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers or the Three Percenters. And we know that it was the Proud Boys who led the charge. It was the Oath Keepers. It was the Three Percenters that were on the ground, mostly leading the charge. So wouldn't it make sense? So wouldn't it make sense?
Really did the convincing.
So wouldn't it make sense that the people who the FBI is using as human sources to try and rat out the Proud Boys, by the way, which they did, they wound up ratting them out. Wouldn't it make sense that those people who were already on the right show up there?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay.
That they would already show up there and be all gung ho for it, be like, hell yeah.
So who's the
we're gonna break that
So
door
who's
down.
the FBI? So who's the FBI agent that was in the crowd?
The big one that we all know is Ray Epps, but I mean there was lots. The guy who broke the first window was FBI.
No, he wasn't. He was an
With the flag?
He was
Yeah.
an asset. He was a source.
Exactly. So he's in bed with the FBI.
No. He's doing work for the FBI, and he's in bed,
Exactly.
and he's in bed with the Proud Boys. But is there no scenario where somebody who's a source
And being the first.
Wait, hold
tunnel.
on. Is there no scenario where somebody who's a source also could be part of a violent insurrection? Like they already joined a violent hate group.
But that's like all speculation. That's super speculative.
Well, everything you've said is speculation.
Well, granted. But
Did you
still,
know?
that's
Did you know
also
that?
speculative.
Did you know that Ray Epps was never an FBI employee? Are you aware of that?
He sourced the whole time, but they protected.
No.
the
The
shit out of him
FBI
the whole
hasn't
time.
even confirmed him as a source.
Exactly. That kind of only.
Brother,
helps what I'm saying.
brother, this is the problem with your logic, is that your logic is when there's no evidence, it makes you believe things more. And when there is evidence of something, you believe it less. This is the
I'm basing it off of patterns. So whenever we're
What
talking
pattern?
about the FBI, I look at them as an organization. The FBI's pattern of total deceit of the American people,
Bro,
of you and me and everybody.
Bro, Ray Epps was a nobody. Ray Epps stood outside, too afraid to go in,
But
and he
he's
told
somebody who
everybody
did
and he told
something.
everybody else to go. And you guys are just trying to like pin it on him. You guys will do anything but blame your own
Not him.
side.
I think it's the,
Brother,
I think it's the Bureau.
everybody,
I think it's
brother,
the
he was in a fucking Trump hat. Everybody there was wearing Trump gear. Trump didn't send the National
It's a good
Guard.
disguise.
The people were there to overturn an election for Donald Trump, and you will blame anybody but your side. It's cowardice.
Well, I mean,
I
I think I would blame anybody probably
No, I
but
like you.
Trump
I
over
like
it.
you. And I'm saying
I
this,
appreciate
and
it.
I'm saying this because I think like you're probably a man's man, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm saying
You
it.
didn't hurt my feelings.
Take it like a friend to a friend. I think you're a fucking
You got
coward.
it.
I think you're a
Whoa.
fucking
Hey.
coward when it comes to evidence. I think you are too
When
afraid
it
to
comes
admit.
evidence.
I think you're too afraid to admit that you got duped. Because every time we show you evidence, it makes you believe what the opposite. And every time there's no evidence, it makes you believe it more. And I think that's
Well,
I
there's no
think that's just
situation where I'm gonna
absolute
end up.
cowardice.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm prepared to fight and die. I mean, I don't know
For
if
what?
that makes me a coward. But
For what though?
oh, for
I believe.
anything, for my kids.
How are
hell,
you?
even over some egotistical shit.
How are you
But
even going to know what you're fighting for if you don't look at the correct information? If you don't parse through information and figure out what's real, how are you going to assure?
You've definitely given me a whole lot, but I just can't see myself siding with the FBI. I hate.
I'm not
all them
siding with the
three-letter
FBI.
agencies.
No.
NSA, FBI.
No,
I mean,
no.
It sounds like it.
I'm not siding with the FBI. I'm telling you that you're blaming the FBI instead of Trump. This is what your side does, and it's sick. Honest to God, this is a cult. You guys won't blame Donald Trump for anything. I saw a tweet this morning. Let me see if I can pull it up, and I thought it was a perfect example.
I'm not a textbook conservative. I am right wing, but
I understand.
I don't
But
say they're my side.
would you?
I hate Ted Cruz's bitch ass.
Yeah, everybody hate. You guys can all tell me a Republican that you hate, and you can all criticize a Republican.
Oh,
but
I got a long list.
Except for Donald Trump.
He's kind of a pimp. He's top G.
See, that's
man.
the problem. You guys think he's great. He's a fucking idiot. He is so goddamn dumb. No, he's dumb. He's dumb. That's it.
I'll tell you something. I mean, he made billions. You know, he did a good job in business. But here, let me tell you something you might like. So my little brother does a really good Trump impression, right? I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. And so he's in my phone contact as Trump. And he calls my children as Donald Trump. And he'll talk to them for 30, 40 minutes at a time. And then they listen to all the rap music that Trump comes out with. Like, to my children, Trump,
That's
the sun
cult
rises
behavior.
and sets on his ass.
Yeah, bro, you're in a fucking you're in a fucking cult. It's
you can't
fucking
say
no,
that's
dude.
not funny.
No, it's fucking no, it's
when
not.
You got a 4-year-old talking to the president.
I escaped a cult. This is how cults.
Like an actual cult?
Yes, this is how cults act. You guys have this deference to the leader, and you guys think like this is what used to happen all the time. When our leader would speak, he would say something that was like, if I said it, nobody would laugh. But if he says it, it fucking kills. And that's Trump.
Hilarious.
And that's Trump. Trump is like generic and not that bright. But because you guys all think he's great, if he says something even remotely funny, it kills. The point is, what I was looking at this morning, the criticism was, I don't remember which influencer it was. Somebody was criticizing, and they tagged Pam Bondi. And they're like, Virginia Guthrie, the Epstein witness, killed herself, and they're like, hey, Pam Bondi, you promised that we were going to get answers. Nobody's trusting you anymore. You better get us answers soon. Where the fuck's Donald Trump? Why doesn't anybody blame Donald Trump for that? He's the one that made the promise.
Yeah.
Why the fuck do you think you guys don't blame Donald Trump for the Epstein list not being released?
Oh, dude, that pisses me the fuck
off.
Well, that pisses me the fuck off. But
hey,
let's look at who he was working with, like the Clintons. He's a Mossad agent.
Excuse me.
That goes right in with Israel.
Excuse me.
Big problem.
He was much better friends with Donald Trump than he ever was with Bill Clinton.
Oh, no way. I don't remember him having a painting of Donald Trump in a dress when you showed up to the special island.
Do you remember the pictures of him and Donald Trump at parties together, pointing at women?
It was I think it was like one or two.
No.
They weren't even all that affiliated. There's not a great deal of evidence to show that. You're gonna have to bring in on that.
Unfortunately, I don't think you've done your research here. If you go through so one of the pieces of information that has been put out is his call logs. It's from his secretary, and these are incoming calls. You know who appears on that log more than just about anybody? Donald Trump. Incoming. Why is he calling
call logs to Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah,
like he's giving him calls?
and flight logs.
What the fuck for?
Why is Donald?
Why is he calling some pedophile Mossad agent?
I don't know. I don't know, man. What do you think?
That's dirty business. Now you would talk about getting my wheels turning. That's some horseshit.
How about this? Did you know that there is a child who you can read the affidavit?
Huh?
It's Kate. The name is Kate. The chat will help me. That has accused Donald Trump in graphic detail, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and this is long before he ran for president, of raping her.
Was this? I mean, So is this
Katie Johnson.
This has got to be different than that one case where he's like playing hanky panky in the department store, where that case was total horseshit.
That wasn't either.
E. Jean Carroll.
No, we can go to that later. But do you know about the name?
Okay,
do you know the name?
We'll stick to this because I know that
Katie
case
Johnson.
is kind of horseshit.
Katie Johnson.
So she was a child at the time, and she was affiliated with Epstein.
Yeah. So what
Epstein
would do is Epstein would pay people to go out and find girls, and then once he had girls, he would tell these other girls like, "Hey, bring your girls around." And all of these girls have testified about like nobody cared when the girls testified about Prince Andrew. Everybody believed it. When they testify about Epstein, everybody believes it. When you see a picture of Bill Clinton, you believe it. When you hear stories,
of course,
but the one person you won't believe it about is Donald Trump, who's all over those flights.
Who's all over?
There's way more evidence. He's on he's on flight logs. He's on He's on call logs. He's a co-conspirator in a lawsuit. There's video after video after video. There's videos of Donald Trump at parties with him. There are records of Jeffrey Epstein flying with underage girls and saying, "Oh, you know where we got to go? I'll call my friend Donald. We'll just stay at his casino," and flying into Atlantic City and staying in Trump's casino.
Oh, gosh.
They were best buds, dude.
If what you're saying is true, you're trying to break my whole cult reality. I'll tell you.
You're goddamn right I am. You're goddamn right. Because you know why I left the Republican Party?
The whole system's fucked. That means the left's fucked. The right's
no.
Everybody's playing with Israel.
No, the reason I left the Republican Party was because at the same time I was escaping my cult, Donald Trump came along. And all the people in my cult started treating Donald Trump the exact same way they were treating our cult leader. And I realized at that point, you guys don't care. If he does something wrong, you pretend it didn't happen. Like when he lost Iowa in the caucuses. If you remember this, the very first primary was Iowa, and he lost to Ted Cruz. And what did he say at the end of that?
Whenever he lost?
Yeah, when he lost the Iowa primary, what he said it was rigged.
I mean, how do you lose to Ted Cruz, though? I mean, that does seem kind of wild. I mean, hell, I'd probably say the same shit.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz is a fucking Canadian who pretends that he's from Texas.
Every time he lost a court case, he said it was rigged.
Well, I mean, I could definitely see that with the horseshit trials out in
Let's talk.
New York.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about E. Jean Carroll. Let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah. You seen her interview with Anderson Cooper? That girl is nuttier than squirrel shit.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think of her personally. Let's talk. No. No, what
She's also falsely accused multiple
what you're doing.
people.
No, she hasn't. What you're doing right now is you are trying to smear a witness, and you're refusing to look at the details of the case. I want to
just know what I've seen. I've seen how fucking
explain
crazy
this.
she is.
Explain this to me. Explain to me how there is sufficient evidence for a jury of Trump's peers, a jury, by the way, that was also selected from Trump's attorneys. How is it that Trump goes through a lawsuit and a jury says, "Yep, you did it. You're liable for sexual abuse and you're liable for defamation," and he loses that court case, and then he appeals it, and he loses the appeal too. And then he goes to New York and he has another case, and he loses that case. And his lawyer doesn't even request a jury.
This is in New York.
Just,
you know,
hold on.
This
isn't Letitia James. His lawyer forgets to ask for a jury. He loses that one. Then he goes to a criminal case, and we know at least two of the jurors on that criminal case were right wingers, like Trump right wingers, and they unanimously decided 34 felonies. And you guys, this is the problem. Again, like I said, every time Trump is found guilty, you guys believe him more. That's cult shit, dude. That's cult shit.
Hey, that mugshot did look pretty cool.
No, he looks like a fucking idiot. It only looks cool if you're in the fucking cult, man. Do you think
that's like
do you ever see a
scenario?
A scenario where you saw a mugshot of Joe Biden and think it's cool?
I mean, he never looks good in any picture.
Yeah,
because
you don't look at him.
My mugshots do. You Google my name and my mugshots come up.
Whatever, whether the mugshots, whatever, whether it's cool or not. The point is that every time Donald Trump gets caught doing something, you guys become more and more convinced that he's innocent, and that's a crazy way to operate in your life. Like you're a grown ass man. You're a grown ass man.
Yeah,
Are you married?
Yeah,
What if
I've got lots of kids.
What if you caught your wife cheating on you, and then she cheated on you again, and every time she cheated on you, your friends are like, "Bro, you got to get out of this."
No,
and every time you just kept going, "No, they're just setting her up. They just want us to break up. It's just my friends want us to break up because they're jealous because my wife's hot." That's the same exact thing that you're doing with Trump.
No, I would go the OJ route.
Don't say that.
Probably.
No, this is the no. You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't because you're kind of I mean this respectfully. You're a little bit
kind of what?
You're a little bit cucky to Donald Trump.
Oh, cucky to Donald Trump.
Yeah. A little bit.
No, I'm something of a violent individual whenever it comes to shit like that.
Yeah, but like behind closed doors, you like to watch Trump, and you sit in your chair in the corner and watch.
Just watch AI porn of Trump.
Probably. You probably think it was cool. You're gonna share it with me later.
Trump and Stormy Daniels. No, he's got a little bean.
Bro,
I
listen.
trying to witness that. That's funny. No, I'm here for the facts. And no, I probably do something along the lines of the OJ route. Probably not hurt her.
I wouldn't say that out loud if I were you. I wouldn't be.
No, it's okay.
But if Trump does it, it's fine, right? The problem
Trump does what? Trump does what?
I think my biggest fear in this country right now is that none of you are going to know if Trump's fucking up.
Why would you say so? Here's my thing.
Because when he fucks up, you like him more.
Depending on how bad, like what you said about the Epstein thing, if that's fucking true, absolutely not. That means everything I pretty much ever believed.
But what's
is
true?
wrong.
What's true though? Because in other court cases, you don't believe it. When E. Jean Carroll says it, yeah, that's the problem. You've been conditioned to think that everybody's against Donald Trump and he's innocent, and so every time he's convicted of something, or every time he's accused of something, you guys just figure out a way to be like, oh, it's a lefty, so I don't have to believe it, and you never look at the evidence. So let's look at the evidence of the E. Jean Carroll case.
I want your story.
Did you know that there is a dress that has from that day that has DNA on it? Are you aware of that?
In the E. Jean Carroll case?
Correct.
Really? What kind of DNA are we talking about?
Semen, allegedly.
Really?
Did you know?
So that's alleged.
Well,
that wasn't
and
proven?
here's the thing. They can't.
Only one way to get that stuff.
Well, they can't test it against Trump because it's a civil case, and he refuses to give a sample. If he's innocent, why not give a sample?
Does that mean he has to nut in a cup?
Sure.
I guess that's feasible. That you couldn't just take
blood
blood and test DNA.
Why not?
DNA
If he's so innocent, why not offer a sample?
Wow. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's a tough one to sit on. You know, because I know how nutty that lady is.
Can you explain to me why E. Jean Carroll would have told?
I mean, hell, I sure would. If you're accusing me of
real quick though, could you explain?
I'm putting mine.
Could you explain why E. Jean Carroll told friends, family members, and therapists about what Donald Trump had done decades ago, and that there's written records of her actually telling her therapist about this experience, and that she didn't come forward?
How far back?
Because right after it happened, within a year or so of it happening. She went to therapy and she talked to her therapist about this, and they decided that they weren't going to go forward because Donald Trump was such a star that they didn't really want to deal with the public upheaval. But then once Trump was in office, she felt like she was obligated to. Now, I've talked to E. Jean Carroll's family. I've talked to him
personally. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they a little bit more sane than she is?
She's sane, dude. This is what happens.
I mean, you saw the Anderson Cooper interview. They had to cut that thing short.
This is what happened.
I'm not saying that she.
No, brother. There is nothing.
I changed my mind on whether or not that this happened to her. I changed my mind on that.
Saying
I don't know that she's a sane person.
Brother, with all due respect, saying that I mean, this is a victim blaming shit, and I guess I can say this because we're not on TikTok, but like it is a reality that women dissociate during those times. It is a reality that there are times when women can be sexually abused and they orgasm. It's a reality that women can get wet when they're being sexually abused. That is not evidence that they gave consent. And by the way, there are also women who have fantasies or they role play situations that are similar to that, and that's what she's talking about. She's talking about the fact, like, look, let's be honest. You never. I don't know. You've been married, but like some people like to be choked. Some people like to have their ass slapped or whatever. Like these things exist in reality, but in a situation where you haven't given consent, it's still rape. So what she's saying that has been misconstrued that allows you guys to call her crazy are just actual truths. And the beauty of what E. Jean Carroll did is E. Jean Carroll took an experience that was devastating to her, and she turned it, and she made it her experience, and she made it her life's mission to not let that keep her from living a healthy life. What she did is beautiful. She recovered from that, and she dealt with it, and she went through the process, and she's able to publicly talk about it. She's able to have a somewhat normal semblance of a sex life. And that's what's hard to watch, is because then the media, your media, takes that and spins it and says, oh, she's crazy. No, she's not. Go to Pornhub and tell me that there's not a million. Go to Pornhub and tell me there's not a million videos like that. These people aren't crazy. You guys just don't want to believe Trump did anything, so you smear everybody who ever accuses him of anything, including a woman who did nothing more than go shopping and got sexually assaulted. Do you know about all the other women who have accused Donald Trump of sexual assault privately?
None of those ever stuck to the wall.
How come they're all the same story? They all had the same story before they ever met. That Donald Trump corners them, that he pushes them against a wall, that he shoves his tongue down their throat, and then he starts groping them. How did they all have the same story individually?
Yeah, they go straight to grabbing him by the Pinocchio.
And then after all of this, we have him bragging about it when he doesn't think that they're listening. I believe that Donald Trump believes that those women. I believe that Donald Trump believed that all of those women actually wanted him to force himself on them. So I believe that Donald Trump believes he didn't sexually assault these women. But it doesn't matter what he believes. It matters what they believe. And they all have the same story. And I guess this is why I say it's a cult.
To come out with it after the fact.
They didn't come out with it after the fact. Many of them came out before the fact. You just didn't know about it until he ran for president. And then you guys had to grapple with the fact that you put up a serial sexual abuser. And rather than get rid of him you said you have kids, man. I got a daughter. I've
got 6 kids.
There's a 0%.
3 different baby mamas.
Dude, when I heard the allegations about Joe Biden, I spent like 8 hours researching to see if there was any validity to those claims.
What about his daughter's fucking journal? That's right in there with it.
Exactly. And I did the research on that, and we can talk about that another time. But the real problem is you have somebody who is serially accused, long before he was president, long before he ran for president, dozens, maybe hundreds of women have accused him of sexual misconduct, including when he owned the Miss Teen USA pageant, and he would walk into their changing rooms of underage girls, and he believed it was his right to inspect the women. And you guys don't care about any of that. You just smear everybody else. You don't know about that one?
Half this shit I haven't even heard. Like, it hasn't came up on CNN. MSNBC,
oh, it's on CNN. You're not watching. Be honest. You don't watch MSNBC or CNN.
Yeah, I do. I watch them. Watch them. I watch them to kind of see what they want me to believe.
Well, you should believe some of it.
They are definitely the system. All the big money, all of it goes straight through those networks. I don't watch Fox either. I mean, I'll see what the hell they have to say, but for example, you're one of the people in the media that I watch.
Thank you.
So mine's pretty independent. I mean, I'll watch everything from you to Candace to Alex Jones.
What does she think about Trump right now, by the way? Me and Candace are kind of on the same page with Trump, aren't we?
Dude, and that means you're on the same page with me. This Israel shit is pissing me right the off.
Let me read you some quotes.
It's making me upset.
Let me read you some quotes. Maria Bilato, Miss Teen Vermont in 1997, says, I remember putting on my dress really quick because I was like, oh my God, there's a man in here. 3 other teenage contestants from the same year confirmed the story. The former pageant contestants discussed their memories of the incident after former Miss Arizona Tasha Dixon told the LA Times that Trump entered the Miss USA teen dressing room when she was a contestant. He just came strolling right in. There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything. Some girls were topless. Other girls were naked. Our first introduction to him when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked changing into our bikinis.
And this is the LA Times?
This is Rolling Stone. LA Times is the first one that reported that story.
So
The
I hope
Guardian,
the story
the
itself is trustable. The source is not, but I hope the story is.
Well, I mean, how many people need to? We got the Guardian here, New Mexico Political Report, Chicago Tribune, New Yorker.
They're all kind of.
PolitiFact has fact checked it. Yeah, dude. Like this guy, nobody has this many allegations against. Like everybody
without one sticking to the wall, and these were
Listen,
all
brother,
made before he ran for president.
Think
These
about
stories come from before.
Yes, all that was from 1997.
Oh shit, that's a year before I was even born.
There you go. He was a rapist before you were even born. How about all the shit he says about? How about all the weird
Epstein connections?
Wait, how about all the weird shit he said about his daughter?
That struck me as weird too.
What do you and your daughter have in common? Sex. Oh, that's weird. Well, he says I was going to say. You don't know that one? He's on an interview with The View with Ivanka.
I thought I remember him saying that she was a really pretty girl, but
all right, I'll play it for you.
He outright said that shit.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Let's see.
I know in that chat there's a bunch of people that believe like me. What are they saying about this?
Let me see if this is the right one. Let's see.
He's like, this guy's only born in 98. Yeah, I was born in 98. I got 6 kids, 3 baby mamas. These women keep trying to steal my seed.
Bro, you sound like you were born in 1848. You sound a lot older than you are.
Well, I'm just from Texas, but I can snap my fingers and speak California real quick.
There you go. That's better. That's better. All right, listen to this. I don't know if this is the right one, but this is still creepy as hell.
I'd be dating her. If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
Isn't it terrible?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, he was right. Hey, isn't it terrible? Yes, it is terrible, dude.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find the other one about.
The other one that you said, if that's fucking real, you're going in hard today.
Let me see.
Oh yeah, yikes! That's a big yikes. So
yeah, dude, this guy's a big fucking yikes. That's why I stopped being Republican.
Well, I mean, because we know, obviously Israel in Judaism. If you've read the Talmud, all that kind of stuff is all up for grabs.
You have in
it's allowed.
Are you religious?
With your father.
Sorry, let me
Either
pause
real
this.
estate
I love
or
Jesus.
golf.
I do like me some Jesus,
your
but that's kind of what I was going to touch on from what you were talking about earlier, is that these conservative Christians are all gung-ho, protect Israel, that's the Holy Land, they're Jews. Well, one, let's go over it. They're not the Jews of the Bible. The Egyptians painted what their slaves looked like, and there's no way that white skin spent 500 years under the Egyptian suns. Then if you look at Revelation 3:9 in the words of Jesus, and I'm not saying this to get religious, I'm just saying it to show that the conservative Christians shouldn't be on the side they're on. He said that there will be people in the end days that say that they are Jewish and are not. In fact, they are the synagogue of Satan. So, I mean, there's all the biblical evidence in the world to be like, these people aren't who the hell they say they are.
All right, here's the clip.
They're Jewish, but they ain't the Hebrews.
Here's the clip of Donald Trump talking about what he has in common with his daughter.
Okay.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Are you playing it on Discord?
Oh, shit. Sorry, I forgot to share the screen. Let me...
You good.
Go back there. Now I got to find it. I'm not very good at Discord either. This is...
Yeah, no, I actually downloaded it to get on here.
Did you really?
Yeah,
right,
bro.
Let's do this. There we go. Share. Boom. All right, you see it now?
You got those moving squares.
What's the
Yeah, I see
favorite
it.
thing
Gotcha.
you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Oh, that was Hulk Hogan creepy.
Why is the crowd cheering?
I think
why is Wendy Williams just like, oop?
Because this is what we do. Like this is what you guys do to Trump too. We do this for celebrities and stars.
I got no part of that.
Well, let me just tell you, this is what we do for celebrities and stars. We allow them to get away with like shit because we're intimidated. So when we say like Trump gets away with saying crazy shit, it's just because people view him as a star. Like that would end. If any other presidential candidate ever had said that, his campaign is over. It's over. There are a million things that Donald Trump has done. The Access Hollywood tape would have been done, but nothing ever sticks to him. because you guys don't let it stick to him. We're so fucked right now. Like, we literally are going into Trump is tanking the economy. He has no fucking clue what he's doing. And
I
now
think we're fucked on both sides.
And now,
I don't know
no,
how you're necessarily gung-ho for the left.
I'm
either.
not.
That's
I'm
wild
not.
as
Listen,
well.
I'm critical of the left. If you watch my show, I started the show today
I've seen
criticizing
some
Joe
stuff where you
Biden.
say some
But
things both sides.
But we are unbelievably fucked, and this guy can't admit that he's wrong. So now the things are going bad. He's writing executive orders saying like, "Oh, I'm going to do martial law now." That's how fucked we are. Because we've had a hard time getting MAGA to come to the reality that, oh my God, this guy's a psycho.
Over what? Illegal immigration or what? What's the reason for the martial law?
It's not even about that anymore. Now he says that he wants the military involved in police work.
For fucking what?
Thank you.
I mean, the police are.
Thank you.
The police are.
Thank you.
The police are stepping on rights enough as it is. All you got to do is have any sort of social media. Like, I'm just walking down the street with my kid, get slammed and get fucking tased. I'm like, no, the Constitution don't matter at all. That's a little bit mind blowing to me.
Do you know about qualified immunity?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of that. Or not? No, excuse me. No, he wants to expand on it. Excuse me, expand on it.
I was about to be like, hell yeah.
What's the? I'm not. It's qualified immunity is not the word I'm looking for. Chat, help me with the word I'm looking for. It starts with an I. It's God damn.
We're talking about the ability for police to pretty much get away with shit and be protected by the department of the courts, right?
Correct. Yeah, that you can't sue.
Even whenever they just straight up trample your rights.
That's what it just
Yeah,
said.
He didn't want to show me his ID, so I beat his ass with the curb.
Yeah, it's called indemnification. He wants to indemnify the police, which basically is similar to like the ruling he got from the Supreme Court.
So you're going to give the weird kid from high school that was 100 pounds too heavy. You're going to give him all the power in the world.
Yeah,
he's got a power complex. I mean, I know you know cops. You remember them in school? They were chumps.
Yeah, fuck them. Trump's like, hey, let's make sure that we can't sue them, and I'm going to have the military there training them now and telling them what to do.
Dude, you know what's so funny about the hardcore conservative right, that now they're all like, oh, blue line group, fucking back to blue and this and that, and it's like you think back in time and you're like, think of Dukes of Hazzard. Since when have the good old boys and the fucking cops gotten along?
I mean,
I know the Duke boys certainly didn't. Dukes of Hazzard didn't get along with the cops at all.
Well, I know that you're in the South, but we go a little further back from that. Like, cops were just there to round up slaves that got away. That's why we have. That's why we have police.
That was part of it back then. But I mean,
that's
also
how it started.
This whole interdiction and shit. If you were in the 1800s, you're riding your wagon down the road. You're not gonna have the lawman on the dirt road being like, "Hey, what you got in that wagon, boy?" They weren't sitting there doing all this shit. I mean, I think they're looking for a paycheck. They make their money like the sheriff in Nottingham.
I'm glad, dude. It makes me happy that you're starting to see it. This is a
no. I've always felt like that.
I mean, with Trump.
With Trump.
He's clearly a fascist. He's a wannabe dictator. He wants all the power. And the crazy thing is all these people you voted for, whoever it is, whoever your representative is and your senator, they're just sitting on their hands. They're like, do whatever you want, dude. We don't, because if we talk back against you, we're all fucked. We'll all lose our spot in the party. Like, you guys have been hijacked by a con man.
I think all politicians need to go. That's the one thing that's good about him. He's not a politician.
No, don't play whataboutism right now. Don't do it. Don't move from this. Donald Trump is a one of one. We've never had anybody like Donald Trump. We've never had anybody try and trample on rights like Donald Trump. We've never had anybody try and change the Constitution through executive order. He is a one of one. All of the rest of them, it's like equal, right? If you want to compare Biden and Obama and Bush,
power for the people, you think?
What?
Like, for example, let's look at guns. I mean, is he not all gung ho for making gun laws a lot more relaxed?
Well, first, in the last two presidents, between Biden and Trump, which one of them did gun legislation?
Are you going to tell me Trump did gun legislation?
Trump put in the bump stock ban.
Get the fuck out of here. Well, I got one.
Yeah, shit. Trump banned it. Biden didn't touch it.
I mean, he talked a lot about it. He talked a lot about getting rid of even, semi-automatic weapons, which
he doesn't give a fuck about your guns. The truth about Donald Trump is all the things he says, you guys shouldn't. I don't know why you believe it. This guy less
and less the more that I see him working with Israel.
He tells you what you want to hear. He's completely owned by the Saudis and Russia and Israel. They pay
What
all.
makes you say
They
he's owned by
pay.
the Saudis? Are you talking about the money of Aramco? Because like I told you, I'm on a drilling rig right now, and due to his tariffs, actually, in fact, with China, we're getting a lot of rigs that are being stacked, which means they're putting them up. You know, and I work for one of the largest drilling companies in the United States, and they're being stacked right now, and the
Why?
price of oil is dropping.
Yeah. So
I mean, a lot of that is
wait.
tariffs,
So
you know,
so
and I
you
feel
guys are
like it's
gonna.
going to get
So
worse
wait,
before it
what's
gets
gonna
better.
happen? You guys are gonna stop producing, right?
No, so that I'm part of a drilling company. Those just drill holes in the ground. Production, as far as like pump jacks in the ground and flow back, we still have so much oil in the ground out of wells
No,
that already exist that you don't necessarily need new holes poked in the ground.
Okay, but think of the first Trump administration when gas prices got really low. He went to OPEC.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember that.
He went to OPEC.
Oh, dude,
and he
I got let
negotiated.
go. I was on the frack side.
And he negotiated to do what? To keep the prices higher, right?
Tried to.
You know, he did.
Whenever the prices got picked up, but that wasn't actually to the benefit of the oil and gas market. That was to the benefit of the wildcatters, you know, the people that own the oil companies.
Exactly. He doesn't give a fuck about you.
Which
He doesn't give a
actually
fuck about us.
honestly,
he gives a fuck about the people that
forever.
will pay him. And look, Trump entered office with
Forever kept gas at a decent price, regardless of the cost per barrel.
Trump entered office with $1.8 billion in debt. $0 of that debt was owed to companies in the United States. Every bit of debt is financed by Russia and the Saudis and Israel. Every bit of it.
Are you talking about Russian oil companies? Because those are the only
No,
major
I'm
giant
talking
oil-
about Trump loans, the loans on properties, the money that Trump owed. Because banks in America won't give him loans because he's such a fucking crook that nobody will do business with him. So he has to get all of his loans from foreign countries. And those foreign countries, they want something for that. They want favors for that. Which is why Trump. Let's talk about one.
For example, the Kingdom of Saudi.
Let's talk about the
the
Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who is currently funding Trump through Live Golf. They fund Live Golf. They pay Trump massive, exorbitant amounts of money to do tournaments at his courses. Saudis, the Saudi royal family, are the people who funded 9/11. And they funded
totally, you're totally right.
And they funded terrorism all over the Middle East. And what the Saudis have been doing the
Muslim Brotherhood.
And what the Saudis have been doing in the last 10 years is they've been trying to go in and use money to get people to forget about that. So they go to Europe and they buy soccer teams. They buy F1 teams. They buy they're in bed with you're UFC fan. They're in bed with the UFC now. So they go in and they buy all this goodwill. And they bought the goodwill with Trump.
Abu Dhabi.
Exactly. They gave Trump's son-in-law $2 billion. And they're like, manage this money for us. And he's not even investing it, but he still gets a management fee. They're just buying influence because they can. And Trump is the most openly bribable person. He's running a crypto scam right now where anybody can bribe Donald Trump. And there's nothing we can do about it. If you want to give Trump...
How come in the first administration his net worth was down?
It wasn't. That's a lie. It's absolutely a lie.
So what are we talking about? Different bank accounts, overseas accounts, shit like that?
Net worth is an estimate on property value, right? So there were property values that could have gone down, but
cash flow.
If you look at revenues, both Mar-a-Lago, Bedminster, both skyrocketed revenues because everybody knew. And it's everybody, like, this is common knowledge. If you want Donald Trump to do what you want him to do, go spend money at one of his properties. And so Mar-a-Lago, that's why every weekend Mar-a-Lago is booked now. It didn't used to be that way. Every weekend Bedminster is booked now, and they're charging exorbitant rates. His cash flow quadrupled, and now he's worth somewhere between $50 and $100 billion. How'd that happen?
Out of town. What makes you say that? I've never seen that figure. Where are you getting that from?
So this is possibly outdated. Let me look at the DJT stock. That's
it. And I do want to touch on his relationship with the Saudi kingdom because that totally decides what Saudi Aramco is going to do. And we know that our entire economy and really the economy of the entire world operates on petroleum.
Yeah.
So I want to know the links there.
So if you look at, you can't see this, but just so that everybody else can see it, this is I've got the ticker for Trump Media and Technology, which is Truth Social. Their stock price is at $26. That is a worthless stock. They make no money. They lose money every single quarter. That it's not worth anything, but it's artificially pumped. And he's getting to the point now. I think he passed one of the vesting points, and you'll see he'll just dump this stock, and eventually this stock will be worthless, but not before he cashes out. And then you have these two crypto coins, the Melania coin and the Trump coin, where he owns 80%. and he gets the gas fee. So every time you buy Trump token, he gets 3%, and every time you sell Trump token, he gets 3%. And so he's made over
That's a crypto scam,
and he's made over $100 million so far doing that.
What was his name? Sam Altman. He was doing very similar.
Yeah,
thing.
yes. Sam Bankman-Fried, you mean?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but guess
Sam
what
Altman's
Trump
a
did?
different guy.
Trump dismantled the same group that took down Sam Bankman-Fried, that under the Biden administration, we put together like a crypto team that would go and investigate all these crypto scams. Trump dismantled it. So that's why Hawk Tuah Girl's not in trouble, because Trump is doing this crypto scam.
Yeah, she ran one too.
Yeah, and now she's not. They dropped the prosecution because they got rid of that team. So Trump is running 2 crypto scams as we speak, and he's made $100 million.
But I mean, Sam.
And I still
Bankman
have to hear about Nancy
like,
Pelosi.
He was giving a lot of money to Democrats too, right?
Both. He said Sam
I'm
Bankman.
taking it you're an independent guy.
I'm a registered.
Who leans left.
Yeah. But Sam Bankman-Fried said something really interesting. He said that he was shocked at how easy it was to get influence with very little money. That came out in his testimony. But yeah, he was bribing people in Congress, and they've been selling this forever. They're like, "Oh, crypto's totally good, man. It's totally the future. It's totally not one giant Ponzi scheme." And they've bribed Democrats and Republicans into believing that it's not a Ponzi scheme, even though it clearly is. And here we are. But now we're not even investigating it.
There's only a few of them cryptos that actually feasibly work, because the value is totally decided on what people say it is.
It's like one.
And whenever you try to write
Bitcoin
on your name to get it, I mean, no, you got. I mean, not only that, you have Ethereum too.
Yeah,
and
but
the
Ethereum,
blockchain's based off of Ethereum.
Yeah, but Ethereum only works because it's a base currency, and all these other cryptos that are built off of Ethereum, if those tank, then Ethereum takes. Bitcoin's probably the only one that's going to really survive. Maybe Ethereum.
Entirely. You don't think anything on the blockchain of Ethereum will make it? Really?
No, they're all. I mean, they don't have any value. There's no utility to them.
I mean, there has been people that I know an old cattleman. His name's Roy. He's a cowboy. And he's about 60 years old, and he's in the second blockchain of Ethereum, and he's quadrupled his net worth through it.
Yeah, look, a lot of people made money with Bernie.
More cows and land.
A lot of people made a lot of money with Bernie Madoff too.
And Freddie Mac.
Well, Freddie Mac wasn't a Ponzi scheme, but Bernie Madoff was.
You don't think so? They always say Bernie Mae and Freddie Mac. They say them together.
No, you're thinking of Fannie Mae.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
All right. Hey, I got to get back to the show. It was good talking to you. Go research that stuff. Come back again. Let's talk again.
Absolutely. You should. Yeah, absolutely. You be good. You have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
Keep
Be
watching.
well. See you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. I got to jump back in. We've got a new subscriber. All right, Jen. Do you want to do announcements real quick while I grab a drink? I don't know if she's here. Did we get mad? I'll read some comments while Jen's. Oh, there you go.
I get mad. No, I'm just waiting.
Oh, I wasn't saying you got mad. I was wondering if there were people that were upset if we got some Republicans mad in the chat.
All right. So if you guys so that's how it's done. If you guys want to have a conversation with RTV, how you do so is if you look at the never mind. Switch if you want to the Venmo, Venmo username is the same as my Discord, Jen JENN.DUBB, the number 1. If you want to DM me on Discord, I can bring you in to talk to RTV in real time. The top left hand corner, that total is a little off, but that is the balance of our gift goal that we need to hit by the end of each show. We do this each day from Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. for 1 Pacific time. What else? If you haven't already subscribed to us, please do so on Twitch. You can use an Amazon Prime sub. Just already subscribe on YouTube. We've also got 4 different memberships. Also check out our link tree. We're on most social media platforms and have merchandise. So we've got about an hour and 20 minutes left in the show. So if you guys can help knock out before we leave, would make things so much easier. What has 5 fingers but isn't your hand?
Your hand.
Yes.
I got it. Yeah.
You did.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on. What do you call James Bond when he forgets to shave?
I I don't know. About no due process to take guns. Joe said all Trump is a good actor from Wall Street. I don't even know if he's from Wall Street. Ace said, did the guy who beat a cop in the head with a fire extinguisher on camera know it was illegal? Jan 6 cops were in it too. Both parties work for the same people, not for us. Amy said, why do Republicans think Nancy Pelosi is stronger than Trump? Wait, I get it. Trump is a weak man. Joe said, and some of them are legally here. Cam's.
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Cam says, currently trying to find Canada geese to tie my house to, like, up and hitch a ride up there with them. It's like the Niners are running this country now. That was low blow. All right. I think that's everybody. Let me check here. All right, back to the outline today. That's back-to-back days we've had somebody come up and talk. Shout out Republicans for being willing to come up and have a discussion. We finished that executive order. Again, if you want the sources on this, somebody asked on YouTube if we can post the sources. They're in Discord. I can't tag all the sources I use every video. Maybe I need to figure out a way to do that. Here we go. Back to Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson had a press conference this morning. There were a couple clips I wanted to show you. Mike Johnson is asked how he interprets Trump's like historic low approval numbers, and let's just say Mike Johnson does his best here.
Subject of polls
Hey, can you hear me?
President Trump's administration.
Yeah, I can hear you, Tim.
A few days ago, and he has
The Twitch froze.
Twitch froze?
Yeah. It's froze.
Oh, I see it. It says stream is disconnected, trying to reconnect.
I don't know if people can you guys on YouTube hear us? Okay.
It's like down. I don't. It says reconnecting. I don't even know if YouTube might be freezing too. It says it's reconnecting.
Okay. Because I see no data on. Okay, you guys on YouTube, say yes in the comments if you can hear me.
Okay, everything looks good on my end now. If it does it again, Jen, hop up. All right, let's start this with Mike Johnson. Just so Mike Johnson has been asked questions about Trump's historic low approval rating, and he does his best to try and spin it.
subject of polls about the first 100 days of President Trump's administration were released a few days ago, and he has the lowest approval rating of any president in the last 80 years, according to the Washington Post, ABC News, and Ipsos, I believe. Other polls suggest similarly low numbers. How do you interpret those numbers, and is that not a sign that your conference, your party, your leader need to be changing course given those low record ratings?
No, look, there's always in any new administration, it's a roller coaster, right? When you come in and you make dramatic change, which is what he did, he's delivering on the promises made. There's some bumps along the road. We're changing everything. As we said, when President Trump was running, I told him and we told our own voters he could be the most consequential president of the modern era. Now the media all of you are acknowledging that is true. By extension, we can be the most consequential Congress as well, because we quite literally have to fix.
Yeah, I agree with that. But consequential doesn't mean good consequential. Consequential can be bad, and I think that most of America currently, and that's why his approval ratings are so low. Good job, Mike Johnson. Good attempt here. But his approval ratings are bad because people do think he's consequential. Consequentially bad.
Every area of public policy. The last 4 years was an absolute unmitigated disaster. And we got to fix it all. So when you're doing that, it's disruptive in a way. And the early initial people, they have an emotional reaction sometimes for the big changes. But what they're seeing and what the real polling is showing is that they understand that we're headed somewhere. This is out of the gates, all these big achievements.
What polling shows that? What polling shows that that people feel like we're on the right track? Because they ask that question. They say, "Do you feel like we're on the right track?" And significant majority of Americans say no. So I don't know what polling he's talking about.
Achievements that we just recounted, and I said we're just getting started. The reconciliation bill is the big chunk of this. The vehicle through which we will deliver the America First agenda is this big, beautiful bill, which is why we call it that. The president's approval rating is better than it was in 2017 when he got started, right? Because people trust.
No, it's lower than 2017.
Him. The thing about President.
Yeah, good try, Mike Johnson there. I don't know what polling he's looking at there. Here he has. Oh shoot! I'm gonna skip to 9. I didn't mean I got those two mixed up. I'm gonna skip to 9. Whoever's doing the outline today, is it Kim? Going to 9 here. Now he's being pressed, and he's doing what all good Republicans do these days: is they just say, don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe anybody who says something negative about Donald Trump. Again, I'm going to use this quote over and over. Doubt your doubt, or doubt your doubt, not your faith. That's what I was told growing up. That's what the cult leaders told me. No, doubt the fact that you're doubting. Don't doubt the facts. Like if somebody tells you something and it seems incorrect, just doubt the fact that you believe it. Like, why do I believe that? That's what Mike Johnson's doing now. And that's what all the Republican leaders are doing right now. Like, pretend it's not happening. This is just the Democrats trying to trick you. Don't fall for it. Well, we're not doing anything. We don't have any fucking power. This is just all you guys. What you're seeing is what's happening. Do believe your eyes. Stop believing Mike Johnson. Stop believing Donald Trump. Stop believing Fox News. Believe what your eyes are showing you. Believe that the reality is our markets are tanking. We're losing a trade war. We have police officers, ICE agents breaking into people's houses without warrants, deporting children who are currently undergoing cancer treatments, deporting people who are in the process of getting their green card. Believe your eyes. Stop letting them tell you, like, don't believe what you're seeing. Trust the plan. Don't trust politicians ever. Don't trust the plan ever. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you don't trust the plan and the plan winds up working, then admit you're wrong. But I don't know why you guys are putting faith in a politician right now. How cucky is that?
Do not believe the hype. Do not believe the lies the Democrat Party has said. We had their ads taken down. Okay, they were running ads around the country and in swing districts, trying to convince people that Republicans were going to gut Medicaid. It's just simply not.
Here's what happened: the campaigns ended. The ads weren't. He's going to claim that Republicans sent out cease and desist letters and then the ads came down. The campaigns are over. Those campaign ads were running in Florida and Wisconsin, and now those elections are over, so they took the ads down. And now he's going to try and be like, oh, they were lying, and now they had to take them down. I didn't see an injunction. They didn't come down before the election. But weirdly, they came down the day after the election. How did that work out?
Not true, and that's why their ads and billboards had to come down. We sent them a cease and desist letter because we pointed out they were lying. By the way, the Democrat leaders in Washington have zero credibility with the American people. Remember, they tried to tell us for the last 4 years that Joe Biden was an exceptionally talented, brilliant, on-point leader. Okay, they don't.
Now, this is the dirty thing Republicans are doing over and over. And Republicans here, don't fall for this shit. Don't allow Mike Johnson to change what we said to sound smarter. Nobody said this about Joe Biden.
Exceptionally talented, brilliant, on-point leader. Okay, they don't.
No, we never said that. In fact, almost all of us said, yeah, you know what? He's definitely past his prime. He definitely has good days and bad days. Sometimes he stumbles over his words. That's what we actually said. If you're talking to somebody and somebody is giving you a revisionist history in order to make a point, it's likely that the point they're about to make is so weak that it requires like an opposite to make it seem stronger. Because nobody was saying Joe Biden is brilliant and on point and he's the smartest president ever and he never fucks up. We were all saying he's old. He definitely stumbles. He has a speech impediment. He was bad at the debate. In fact, as soon as we saw that debate performance, most Democrats turned on him. This is revisionist history. And they're only saying it because their guy's doing so poorly that in order for them to get you to continue to support them, they're now rehashing history and they're revisiting it in a very dishonest way. They have to tell you that this is what we said when it's not what we said. I'll challenge anybody. Go find me a clip of somebody saying what Mike Johnson just said.
Zero credibility with the American people. Remember, they tried to tell us for the last 4 years that Joe Biden was an exceptionally talented, brilliant, on-point leader. Okay, they don't have any credibility on it.
Yeah, we didn't say that. So if you have to attack our credibility by lying, how good is your story? How good is this story you're about to tell?
Any of this. We're going to prove the opposite. The committee markups, as Leader Scalise noted, we have 7 committees marking up components of the big, beautiful bill this week. We have 4 others next week. That third week that we...
Can we be honest about how fucking weird it is that these dumb motherfuckers are saying the big, beautiful bill? They just repeat Trump's catchphrases. Oh, Russia, 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 big, beautiful bill. The stolen election. Are we going to ever acknowledge how fucking weird it is that you guys just get programmed into catchphrases? That's the Speaker of the fucking House. It is not called the big, beautiful bill. Are we going to ever acknowledge how fucking weird this is? That like grown ass adults have to say things in like dumbed down Trump language so that you guys are, oh, they're talking about the big, beautiful bill. That sounds like Trump. So we're tying it to Trump. That means I have to support it. Are we ever going to talk about this? We just had that last guest come on and like repeat a million lies that are so easily debunked that like even the guest was like, yeah, oh, fuck. Are we going to address that we just spent an hour with another guest and it was just like deprogramming over and over and over? Here's what you're told. Here's what really happened. Here's what you were told. Here's what really happened. And the reason they get away with that is because they just hit you in catchphrases all day long. Big, beautiful bill. And now you're going to hear everybody on the right today like, oh, well, they're putting together a bill. They're putting together the big, beautiful bill. Yeah, it's just a fucking bill, dude. You know what's never, ever happened? That Congress has put together a big, beautiful bill. That's the type of shit you say when you don't want people to read the bill. You just want them to remember big, beautiful bill. B, B, B. It's called an alliteration. Like, they just do, like, they legitimately do cult shit every day. Programming shit every day. They want you to remember the catchphrase, but not what's in it, and you guys all do it. Y'all just repeat that shit every fucking time. This is weird. This is really fucking weird. Oh, the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful. Watch how many times he says it.
Components of the big, beautiful bill this week. We have 4 others next week. That third week that we return, the Budget Committee will merge all that together into the one big, beautiful bill, and you will see the results. We are going to preserve the programs. We're not gutting Medicaid. We're going to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse, which every single American should be applauding. The Democrats, we are...
Now, look, that's a fucking lie that they're not going to touch Medicaid. Their bill requires cuts to Medicaid. It requires it. I don't understand how we're in a situation where Republicans can watch this and then go online and be like, well, we're not cutting Medicaid. It requires it. Go read it. This is what Thomas Massey said. I've got a clip of Thomas Massey in here somewhere. Let's see. Don't believe me. I'm just a fucking lib, right? Don't believe me. But do you want to believe the most conservative libertarian? Oh, shoot. This is the wrong one. In Congress? Is this it? Shit, the internet's going slow again. God, that's the same one I just clicked on. Hold on. Come on, Elon. Just remember what Thomas Massey said about this exact bill.
Are you still a no? Is there anything?
They convinced me in there. I'm a no.
Is there anything?
Look what, let me, their own numbers. If the Republican plan passes under the rosiest assumptions, which aren't even true, we're going to add $328 billion to the deficit this year. We're going to add $295 billion to the deficit the year after that, and $242 billion to the deficit after that, under the rosiest assumptions. Why would I vote for that?
So are you solidly a no?
Yeah, they convinced me. I was a lean no until this meeting. Now I'm a no.
This no confirmed.
This is a no.
Why? Why?
They're talking points. Look. These are not something I made up. This is the leadership's talking points. It adds $328 billion to the deficit. It adds $295 billion to the deficit the year after that. The only way they get to this magic thing where it's not going to kill our country is 5 years from now, they imagine that 2.5% growth accumulates, and that even right here they say they're going to cap discretionary spending. You think we're going to...
What's that?
That even right here they say they're going to cap discretionary spending.
That's a cut. What's discretionary spending?
You think we're going to cap...
They're going to cut discretionary funding, and then they add $200 billion in discretionary spending. They're already lying. They're already going back on what they said. Even in their own bill, they're like, we're going to cut discretionary spending. Oh, by the way, here's another $200 billion in discretionary spending. Ever since this has come out, all they've done is added discretionary spending.
Discretionary spending and then spend at the rate of inflation after that. That has never happened. So their assumptions are wrong, but even if you take their assumptions at face value, they told us in there they're going to increase the deficit in 2025 by $328 billion. And I've been here long enough. I've been here 12 years, so I've seen it.
I love the Republicans in here. Keep taking the shots at me. I fucking love it. Keep taking the shots at me, because anybody with half a brain that's watching this chat and watching your own party talk about how fucking shitty your party is and how fiscally irresponsible your party is, anybody else who's undecided is going to see that you guys don't have answers for this. You have no answers. You're just going to criticize me, which, sorry, I got tough skin. I've been doing this for a while. Like, I've heard every single thing that you guys say. Somebody fucking said it yesterday. You're 3 years late to the party. We've heard all this. Oh, you live in your mom's basement. Oh, you have mama issues. Oh, Democrats cry. Oh, cry more. Cope. We've seen it all. We've seen all this shit. The one thing none of you guys can do is answer a fucking question. The one thing none of you want to address is why the most conservative member of your party is calling all of you fucking liars and calling everybody you support fucking liars. They're out there saying that they're going to cut spending, and you just heard him say they're increasing it by the rosiest predictions, which he said aren't even true and cannot come true. So even if everything went perfectly, which can't happen, it adds $300 billion in new debt on top. Not like we're only going to add $300 billion of new debt. So keep insulting me. That's cool. Like, I don't give a shit. In fact, it's a little bit funny. But the one thing none of you guys have an answer for is anything that your president and your party is doing. That's just facts. And if you had answers for it, you'd give us answers. But you don't have answers. You're just mad at me for delivering the information. Sorry, this is your guy. This isn't my guy. I don't like Thomas Massie. This is your guy.
10-year plan or two. Come all the way to 10 years. Under Boehner, we had these 10-year plans. Under Ryan, we had these 10-year plans. Anything past the third year never happens.
Mr. Speaker, will the budget resolution...
Boom. Don't take it from me. Take it from the Republicans. And you know why they don't speak out? You know why Republicans can't speak out about this? You know why some of them are such absolute fucking cowards? I'm gonna let's have Thomas Massie tell you again. Here's Thomas Massie on with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tim Pool, and Thomas Massie's gonna explain what happens if you're a Republican and you go against Donald Trump.
President Trump was pushing through. Thomas Massie was trying to say, no, we have to do this correctly. We still have a...
Keep talking about us in the chat, by the way. Keep talking about how we have nothing. I'm showing clips of your people. Keep telling us we have nothing. This is your people. This is convincing. You think an independent is watching today's broadcast and hearing what the last guest had to say and what you guys are saying and thinking, oh, yeah, those people are definitely right. They're definitely not in a cult. These are your people. These are not my people.
Constitution. It has not gone away, and I'm proud of him. I totally support him for what he did.
So he said he would, on the phone, he told me he was going to come at me like I'd never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you.
Charles, he threatened him. He threatens his own party. And Thomas Massie is fortunate. Thomas Massie lives in a deep, deep red district. So he's safe. So that threat from Donald Trump doesn't really carry a lot of weight for Thomas Massie. But imagine Thomas Massie is in a purple district. Suddenly that carries weight.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he said.
That's awesome. Bro, who are you guys? They're laughing. Trump threatened him, and they're like, that's so fucking sick, dude. Fucking love it, dude. Did you jack it right then? Did you come? When he said that, did you just immediately come? Oh, I wish Donald Trump threatened me and make me so hard.
Never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you.
Charles, that's awesome.
Yeah, he said.
I feel like
he also reminded me, which is true, he's more popular than me in Kentucky. And he said it would be the end of me. And I tried to tell him this was constitutional and we needed to do it this way, and it would still pass anyway because most people were for it. We just couldn't break the Constitution today. And he repeated, you know, I'm coming at you like you've never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you.
Kind of turned into the Terminator there with Trump. I'm not good at the Trump voice either, but mine always devolves into something else. Betsy said, keep up the good work. Thanks, Betsy.
And then he said that I was I didn't know what that meant, but before I got back to my seat, I found out. He said I was a third-rate grandstander.
Ooh. On Twitter.
He tweeted about you. On Twitter, yeah.
And you're in trouble when that happens.
Yeah.
And you're in trouble? What? Look at that. They're fucking admitting it. This guy, he'll just threaten you, and then he goes on Twitter, and once he talks shit about you on Twitter, you're in so much trouble. They're just laughing. Oh, that's our cult leader. He sure is terrific.
And that I should be thrown out of the GOP and some other stuff. So when I walked out of the floor, having objected and making everybody show up to work, which they hated, by the way, they still wouldn't take a recorded vote. Even though they had a quorum, they would not put their names on that bill. And when I walked out, the press wanted to know what I had to say for myself, that my own president had called me a third-rate grandstander. And I looked at him, I said, I was offended. I'm at least second-rate.
Did you guys see that story?
Yeah. I like it. All you do is take half the clips, half the truth. Shut the fuck up. How about that? Get up here and defend your position. How about that, Daniel? Come tell me where I'm wrong. You saw the last two guests. I invite guests. Yeah, I do. I only give my view. You know why I only give my view? Because I'm me, and that's how it works. I'm not speaking for other people. I'm speaking for me, and you have an open invitation to come take a part in any of these positions. Feel free. This is an open forum. This is not an echo chamber. It only is an echo chamber because you guys won't come up here. Shout out to those who do come up here. Just come fix it. Here's J.B. Pritzker today. J.B. Pritzker is no longer fucking around. Republicans, you can check out now. These aren't your people, so you don't have to listen to this. Here's J.B. Pritzker yesterday.
Secretary of Education who hates teachers and schools.
Start that over.
We have a Secretary of Education who hates teachers and schools. We have a Secretary of Transportation who hates public transit. We have an Attorney General who hates the Constitution. We have a Secretary of State, the son of naturalized citizens, a family of refugees, on a crusade to expel our country of both. We have a head of the Department of Government Efficiency, an immigrant, granted the privilege of living and working here, a man who has made hundreds of billions of dollars after the government rescued his business for him, who is looking to destroy the American middle class to fund tax cuts for himself. And we have a president who claims to love America, but who hates our military so much that he calls them losers and suckers, and who can't be bothered to delay his golf game to greet the bodies of 4 fallen U.S. soldiers.
God, you guys in the chat, you're on fucking repeat. This is why you lost. Trump 2028. You guys are in an echo. Come up. Can you guys come up with something new once in a while? Look, with all due respect, I love having you here, but it gets old seeing you guys say the same shit every day. Pick it up. I work hard. I give you new information every day. I work hard. You guys need to come with better insults. Make fun of my beard, my nose, my outfits, my hair, whatever. My lack of hair. Maybe I'm bald under there. We'll see. Just step it up a little bit. It's getting a little bit monotonous around here. FOD says this type of spending combined with the loss to the economy that tariffs are creating is irrefutable. Keep sending these mindless drones straight. Yeah, we're working on it. Here's J.B. Pritzker wasn't done. He went on a rampage, and I'm happy to see it.
It's time for us to be done with optimism about their motives or their objectives. Time to stop wondering if you can trust the nuclear codes to people who don't know how to organize a group chat. It's time to stop ignoring the hypocrisy and wearing a big gold cross while announcing the defunding of children's cancer research. And time to stop thinking that we can reason or negotiate with a madman. Time to stop apologizing when we were not wrong. Time to stop surrendering when we need to fight. Our small businesses don't deserve to be bankrupted by unsustainable tariffs. Our retirees don't deserve to be left destitute by a Social Security Administration decimated by Elon Musk. Our citizens don't deserve to lose health care coverage because Republicans want to hand a tax cut to billionaires. Our federal workers don't deserve to have, well, a 19-year-old Doge bro called Big Balls destroy their careers. Autistic kids and adults who are loving contributors to our society don't deserve to be stigmatized by a weird Nepo baby who once stashed the dead bear in the backseat of his car.
Now, let's be clear about what J.B. Pritzker is and is not doing. J.B. Pritzker is absolutely taking personal shots at this administration. Personal. He's also advocating for the workers. He's doing two things. And you don't like the personal shots, and that's fine. And maybe you think that's beneath a politician. I happen to be kind of okay with it. I like the personal shots. I give personal shots. You guys do. That's fine. He's advocating for workers, and he's taking personal shots. I just want to be clear on what this actually is. He's hurting people's feelings while advocating for the working class.
Our military service members don't deserve to be told by a washed-up Fox TV commentator who drank too much and committed sexual assault before being appointed Secretary of Defense that they can't serve their country simply because they're black or gay or a woman. And if it sounds like I'm becoming contemptuous of Donald Trump and the people that he has elevated, it's because I am. You should be too. They're an affront to every value this country was founded upon.
All right, the reason I brought that up, and I think it's a fair criticism to say maybe these politicians don't care. Maybe they talk about the working class, but they don't do enough for the working class. That's fine. But the reason I brought that up is because here's Stephen Babyback Bitch Miller. And I'll say whatever the fuck I want about Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is a dumb motherfucker. Stephen Miller is a Nazi motherfucker. He's a white nationalist motherfucker. He looks like a thumb that didn't quite grow all the way that somebody put a suit on. I motherfucking hate Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is a dog shit human being. He's also dumb, and he's racist. So I just want to be clear here. I am being snide. I do dislike this person, and I am being biased here. But everything J.B. Pritzker just said were personal insults, just like I hurled at Stephen Miller here. And Stephen Miller, if he was a big boy, he could hurl some personal insults back at J.B. Pritzker. But Stephen Miller's not a big boy. Stephen Miller's a bitch. And Stephen Miller thinks that every personal attack is somehow an attack on this country. And they internalize all of this. And what they're telling you, what Stephen Miller's about to tell you, is exactly what I've been telling you. Is that this is not a movement of ideas. It is a movement of loyalty. It is a cult, which is why Stephen Miller here is going to take those personal attacks and he's going to pretend that those personal attacks were attacks on the country.
Stephen, Illinois Governor Pritzker just called for mass protests and disruption, saying Republicans cannot know peace, while Trump's border crossings are down 95% and ICE is locking up 800 criminals. Is Pritzker inciting insurrection, and will DOJ take action?
Well, what I would
Sean, you've used the wannabe Joe Rogan joke like 80 fucking times. No, I don't want to be Joe Rogan. Like, it's crazy. I'm a non-professional comedian and still like funnier than Joe Rogan. I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I don't want to interview a bunch of conspiracy theorists. Like, get a new joke, dude. That's the 10th time you've done that joke. This is the problem with Republicans. You guys are goddamn dumb sometimes. I tell this to my daughter actually all the time. She'll say something that we laugh at, and then she says it like 20 times, and I have to explain, like, hey, it's funny the first time, but the other 20 times you're not going to get the reaction, because the reaction is because you were funny the first time. But now that everybody's heard it, they're not going to keep laughing. I feel like I got to do that to you guys too. Stop doing the same joke over and over. Get some new material.
Insurrection, and will DOJ take
RTP doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that he called over a third of the Jews in this country Nazis. Does he understand how wrong that is? Rolf, I've asked you to come up here every fucking day. I don't know what you're talking about. But if you are if you support this administration and you support the Nazis in this administration, I don't see a great deal of difference between you and other Nazis. And yes, I know that you've said that you're Jewish. There were Jewish Nazis. I don't fucking care. If you're not a Nazi, then don't be offended. If you share Nazi ideology, then be offended. I don't care. But the one thing you do every single day is you sit in the comments, how come I won't be addressed by RTP? This is the last time you're getting addressed by me without coming up here. Stop being such a little bitch, dude. Stop it. If you support Nazis like Stephen Miller, I don't care if you're Jewish. If you support Nazi ideology, you're a Nazi. I do not care your ethnicity. I do not care your background. If you support Nazis, you are Nazi adjacent, you're a Nazi. Have some courage and come up here and discuss it.
Take action.
Well, what I would say is that his comments, if nothing else, clearly could be construed as inciting violence. So President Trump survived 2 assassination attempts against his life. Of course, there's been many more credible threats against President Trump and his family.
Oh, here we go. Here's the pity party. Credible? Everybody gets credible threats. Literally, everybody I get credible threats. People get threatened online. That's what happens. You can't criticize this administration because then people threaten them. So what are we supposed to do? This is why these guys are such bitches. You guys are criticizing us, and that makes us unsafe. Well, don't do stupid shit. I don't know what to tell you. If you do dumb enough shit that people threaten you, maybe that's on you. Maybe stop blaming everybody else for pointing out that your entire administration is incompetent.
And associates. We've, of course, seen the spate of left-wing domestic terrorism all across this country.
No. No. Where? Where's this spate of left-wing domestic terrorism? Chat, where's my right-wingers in the chat? Are we talking about the Tesla dealerships? Is that our left-wing terrorism? Is that what it is? Johnny said, Jay likes taking personal shots. Clip it. Yeah. I talk shit. Toughen up. I'm a shit talker. I've always been a shit talker. If you don't like that, I don't know. I'm just talking shit to the people in the chat.
The destruction of property sits directly adjacent to attacks on humans and physical attacks. So
What the fuck does that mean?
The destruction of property sits adjacent to the attacks on human beings.
What does that mean? Are you trying to compare that it's the same? See, this is my problem with this administration. They're such little bitches that any sort of criticism or anything that they don't like, they're like, it's basically the same thing as you harming an innocent person. No, it's not. And by the way, where's the left-wing politician that's advocating for people to go out and attack Tesla dealerships? Sorry, Elon. Sorry that people didn't like you and people did some shit to you. I don't agree with that. You should not be doing graffiti. You shouldn't burn down Teslas. You shouldn't damage people's cars because they drive a Tesla. I'm not on board with that. Some people are. What do you want us to do?
It's the same thing. It's just the same as physical violence.
You know, this guy's never done physical violence in his life. He's been behind a microphone. By the way, I don't know if you guys know the history of Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller was like best friends with Richard Spencer. They were college roommates. Yes, that Richard Spencer, white nationalist, Nazi Richard Spencer. And they share the same ideas. And then when he got politically active, he had to abandon his Nazi past. So he pretends he's not friends with Richard Spencer anymore. And Richard Spencer basically said, like, all right, he's not a Nazi, but he believes everything we believe. That's what Richard Spencer said. And then he went and he worked for Michelle Bachmann. And then he would call in on, what was that guy's name? I forget the talk show. And he was just always the Nazi call. It's who he is. He's just a Nazi. And like all Nazis, he's kind of just like thin-skinned, kind of a little bitch.
I don't like it when people point out that our racism is driving our policy. That hurts my feelings.
Once you tolerate and once you allow for attacks on property, you're just a step away from people throwing Molotov cocktails into people's Molotov cocktails in people's homes.
Oh yeah, no, that's what happens. Everybody knows that if you key a car, the next thing you're going to do is throw an explosive into someone's home. That's always how it works. What the fuck is he talking about here? The thing is like, he wouldn't get away with this if MAGA wasn't so fucking up Trump's ass. Every day these guys come out and they say literally the dumbest shit. Like, that is so goddamn dumb. And the only reason you guys defend it is because you're just like, we're in this cult forever. We're never leaving the cult. So you just pretend that this shit isn't dumb. That was so. He started this by saying like property damage and damage to a human being are adjacent, and that everybody knows that once you damage a car, you're going to go blow somebody's house up or throw a Molotov cocktail through their window. Like, this is nonsense. This doesn't make sense in any world. There is no connection between keying somebody's car and throwing a Molotov cocktail through their window. And yet here we are. This guy just works for the White House. They're like, yeah, you nailed it today, Stephen. Great job.
People throwing Molotov cocktails into people's Molotov cocktails in people's homes. And you've even seen some, I think one example of a formerly prominent Washington Post journalist who seemed to be celebrating the murder of a healthcare CEO, right? Health insurance CEO. And that's the point we've reached in this country, where people are engaging in rhetoric and behavior that puts the lives of public servants in danger, puts the lives of conservative Americans in danger. And so that's the first thing I would say. And then, of course, secondly, right, just this war that Democrats...
Bro, you motherfuckers stormed the Capitol. Shut up. You guys stormed the goddamn Capitol.
They're mad at the health and insurance companies, too. That was the left, you know. The left made Luigi Mangione do something bad.
We weren't even... Let's be honest. I think maybe the most frustrating part about all of politics is that we never fucking talk about healthcare. Ever. Democrats don't do... Where was Kamala on healthcare? Where was Joe Biden on healthcare? Where's anybody but Bernie Sanders been on healthcare? And then they're like, oh, this is their rhetoric. We don't even talk about it. I desperately want Democrats to talk about healthcare, and we won't do it. But this is the fear-mongering shit that keeps these Republicans up at night. They're coming after us, everybody. They will take any act of violence, and they'll just be like, this was political, so you have to be scared. They just keep you in this perpetual state of fear. Why are you guys letting this guy dictate your fear? Why? Who in God's name would listen to this idiot?
Democrat governors and mayors are waging against federal law enforcement. I mean, this is nullificationist behavior. This is secessionist behavior. Where they're saying they don't recognize the supremacy of federal law enforcement in terms of protecting the lives and livelihoods of American citizens against a foreign invasion. We've never seen anything like it.
What was that? What was that? The supremacy of what?
Federal law enforcement. In terms of saying they don't recognize the supremacy of federal law enforcement in terms of protecting the lives.
To me, when he's talking about federal law enforcement, he's talking about ICE. ICE has been around since 2003, and it was a fucking mistake. ICE should not exist. But ICE was meant to go after people that were here, like terrorist cells, post 9/11. They do not have supremacy. They don't have supremacy over local law enforcement. They don't recognize the supremacy. Yeah, because they don't have it. That's why we don't recognize it. You know who else doesn't recognize it? The courts. That's why they say you need a warrant signed by a judge to enter somebody's home. Not an immigration judge. There is no ICE supremacy. So now they're lying to you. Oh, you guys are just mad that we're doing extra constitutional things. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, we're mad about that. Yeah, ICE shouldn't be able to just do whatever the fuck they want until judges know. ICE doesn't have supremacy over local law enforcement. That's why in order to go in, that's why they can't go into somebody's house. Right? We're just right. What Stephen Miller's mad about is that we're right and that he's not able to go do his roundup. Oh man. By the way, does he not look exactly like Joseph Goebbels? Dead ringer. He's just a wannabe Goebbels, and you guys are like, we love this. Let's round up more people, please. All right. Trump your daddy. It's getting old, guys. You got to get better. I want to show you this debate from Adam Mockler. I don't usually I like Adam Mockler. I think he's fine. But he just dominated this debate about Abrego Garcia. This is what happens when you force Republicans to stay on topic and answer questions. They do not know the answer to these questions ever. Watch Mockler just win by. Let me get through his intro. Watch him just by asking questions dismantles two conservatives.
They call him by his first name.
He's
a thug who entered the country illegally and who there's a lot of indications is a bad guy.
Okay, so I'll say this. I will call Kilmar Abrego Garcia a thug if you say that someone with 34 felony convictions who's been found liable of sexual assault is also a thug.
Do I think Donald Trump is a thug because of the 34 convictions?
If you're going to use what somebody's done, whether it's being held liable for sexual assault or convictions, then yeah, does that meet your standard?
No, I don't actually care about any of those 34 counts. They were all bogus.
Every fucking time. This is the problem we have with you. You guys, Abrego Garcia, he went to court. He's guilty. What about Trump? It doesn't count. Trump guilty verdicts don't count. Guilty verdicts against Republicans don't count. Only against people that we don't like.
Talk about a president of the United States and illegal, someone who allegedly committed crimes.
Yeah.
Which one was convicted of 34 counts? Trump's own lawyers handpicked that jury through the process of voir dire, and now people are saying the entire trial was rigged when a jury of Trump's peers convicted him. And what was Kilmar convicted of? You guys can't say anything. Did the El Salvador government present any evidence that he was MS-13?
I do not know.
Did they? Mark?
I don't believe anybody's presented evidence. There's lots of.
Is it not a little bit eerie that you guys are saying he should be sent to while we're seeking?
All right, so Trump's 34 convictions, there was evidence presented. We can give it to you. You guys don't buy that.
But there were Democrats. A Democrat would never give Donald Trump a fair trial.
Where's the evidence against Abrego Garcia? We don't have any evidence. There was none presented. But you're sure that he's guilty? Yeah, we're sure. Got it. Wouldn't have anything to do with your bias, right? Let's just talk open and honestly. Trump had a trial. He had an appeal. He lost the trial. He lost the appeal. All the evidence was presented. The evidence in Abrego Garcia, no evidence. Where's this evidence, folks?
Well, we just believe it.
Any evidence that he was MS-13?
I do not know.
Did they? Mark?
I don't believe anybody's presented evidence. There's lots of.
Is it not a little bit eerie that you guys are saying he should be sent to while we're seeking?
But you want to go through due process. So due process is going to a court.
No, it doesn't mean going through a court. A due process can be as simple as getting a notice in the mail.
Look at the statistics. How many of them show up for that court date?
Okay, wait. Kilmar.
See what they do here? Well, we had to deport him because sometimes people don't show up to their court dates. That's not due process. That is the definition of racism. Well, people that look like him don't show up to their court dates, so we're going to take away their rights. Oof.
Okay, wait. Kilmar.
No, wait.
Listen, Kilmar Abrego Garcia checked in at the top of every year with the immigration forces. He checked in at the top of every year. He was known for being right on time. He actually just did it in January. So the idea that he would run is absurd. You guys are arguing. You guys have both conceded. Sorry, and I'm not really going after you, Mark. You've conceded, Anthony, that you have no evidence from either the U.S. government or the El Salvador government that he's MS-13.
Yeah. There's never an answer. It's just outrage machine. We got about 25 minutes left. We're way off on the gift goal. I understand this is a tumultuous time in our country economically, so I don't want to pressure anybody. But if you guys can help out with the gift goal, that would be great. Like I said, we got about 35 more minutes, and then I won't be live tonight. I may wind up on a panel. I don't know. I'm going to try and avoid it, but will not be live tonight. This is fucking crazy. So Trump now is writing an executive order. You could I don't think it'll play here because I think this is just a picture of it. But Caroline Levitt said, we're going to ensure that our truckers, who are the backbone of our policy, are all able to speak English. Basically saying that we're going to put a new law in that all truckers must be able to speak English. Here is in Tennessee. This is a Republican, Senator Paul Bailey in Tennessee, talking about what that would mean for the trucking industry.
50 to 60% of the commercial drivers today are foreign. Many of you sitting on this committee will think, well, they're Hispanic, but in fact, you have a lot of Bosnian, Croatians, Many times those drivers, they do not speak English very well at all. But our nation would cease to operate in transportation if we didn't have these individuals with a commercial driver's license. If this legislation passed nationwide, would absolutely cripple our nation. As far as transportation is concerned. From someone from the industry, I don't think that we can trigger that, even encourage that, because our nation would absolutely be crippled.
The determination as to whether or not this person can't speak English is left to the officer, right?
It is left to the officer.
That seems to me like a dangerous precedent. I mean, they're not necessarily experts on linguistics.
Driven in Asia and Africa, I think trying to judge someone's reading ability by how well they speak the language is not a very accurate way of.
You may be stopped, you get a little bit more nervous too. I think I've heard you say if you ever had the opportunity to meet Dolly Parton, you're not sure if you could speak or not.
I renew my motion.
Chair lady of 3.
There we go. This is nonsense. Like, I don't even know what to do with this. I don't know why. Somebody explain to me why they would even put this legislation through. Why would you even present this as a good idea? To mandate that people who drive trucks speak English. Why? I can't even figure this one out. What are we doing here? Does anybody, what, just because we're in America, speak English. It's not English. That's England. It's a melting pot. Why does it fucking matter? Why does it matter how you speak? Racism. I don't know. This one, there's like 4 things a day this administration does. It's like, what the fuck? Like, why are we doing that? Unfortunately, I do have to tell you that this video is real. And I really wish that this video wasn't real, but it's real. And I'm going to show it to you only because it made me uncomfortable. So now you have to see it. This is from Real Gray Wolf 0 on TikTok. And they posted this on their own account. And I came across it, and so you guys have to watch it with me.
Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith would be made stronger in the presence of my Savior.
It's not a cult. It's not a cult, guys. It is not a cult. Tessa said $5 holla. Mary said, let's go. Jay is working G hard. Melissa said dollar train. Thank you, Melissa. Jamar said it starts with stepping on someone's shoe and then you end up bombing a country, obviously. That video was real. You had to watch it. Sorry. This is fucking wild. So out of Oklahoma City, and like we said before, like this is why people don't want ICE. This is why ICE should not have supremacy. A woman says her family's fresh start in Oklahoma turned into a nightmare after federal immigration agents raided her home, taking their phones, laptops, and life savings, even though they were not the suspects the agents were looking for. The agents had a search warrant for the home, but the suspects listed on the warrant do not live in the house. The woman who actually lives in the house had just moved to Oklahoma City from Maryland with her family about 2 weeks earlier. The woman who News 4 will refer to as Marissa and her 3 daughters came to Oklahoma looking for a slower, more affordable pace of life. They rented a house in a seemingly safe northwest Oklahoma City neighborhood. Her husband stayed back in Maryland a couple of extra weeks, planning to join them this weekend. I was like, okay, Oklahoma's my home now. But any comfort they had disappeared Thursday morning when 20 men armed with guns busted through their door. I don't know who they were. She said it was dark and all the lights were off. Marissa said the men identified themselves as federal agents with the U.S. Marshals, ICE, and the FBI. On Tuesday, a spokesperson for the U.S. Marshal Service denied having agents present during the raid, telling News 4 they were aware of the operation before it happened, but did not assist in any capacity. I keep asking them, who are you? What are you doing here? What's happening? And they said, we have a warrant for the house and a search warrant. She said they ordered her and her daughters outside into the rain before they could even put on clothes. They wanted me to change in front of all of them, in between all of them, she said. My husband has not even seen my daughter in her undergarments, her own dad, because it's respectful. You have her out there, a minor, in her underwear. Marissa said the names on the search warrant were not hers, nor anyone in her family. She recognized them as names listed on the mail still arriving at the house, likely former residents. We just moved here from Maryland, she said. We're citizens. That's what I kept saying. We're citizens. She said the agents didn't care. They were very dismissive, very rough, very careless. I kept pleading. I kept telling them we weren't criminals. They were treating us like criminals. We were here by ourselves. We didn't do anything. Marissa said the agents tore apart every square inch of the house and what few belongings they had, seizing their phones, laptops, and their life savings in cash as evidence. I told them before they left, I said, you took my phone. We have no money. I just moved here, she said. I have to feed my children. I'm going to need gas money. I need to be able to get around. Like, how do you just leave me like this, like an abandoned dog? Before they left, Marissa said one of the agents made a comment. One of them said, I know it was a little rough this morning. She said it was so denigrating. That you do all this to a family, to women, your fellow citizens, and it was a little rough. You literally traumatized me and my daughters for life. We're going to have to go get help over this somehow. Now Marissa said they have quite literally nothing. I said, when are we going to get our stuff back? They said it could be days or it could be months, she said. Marissa said she is left with nothing but questions. What if I would have been armed, she said. You're breaking in. What am I supposed to think? My initial thought was we were being robbed, that my daughters, being females, were being kidnapped. You have guns pointed in our faces. Can you just reprogram yourself and see us as humans, as women? A little bit of mercy? Care a little bit about your fellow human, about your fellow citizen, fellow resident? We bleed too. We work. We bleed just like anybody else bleeds. We're scared. You could see our faces that we were terrified. What makes you so much more worthier of your peace? What makes you so much more worthier of protecting your children? What makes you so much more worthy of your citizenship? What makes you worthy of safety, of being given the right that they took from me to protect my daughters? Marissa told News 4 the agents wouldn't even leave her a business card. She said she had no idea who to contact to get her things back. News 4 reached out to the FBI. A spokesman said they were simply assisting on this case as directed inquiries to Homeland Security. A spokesperson for Homeland Security told News 4 they are looking into it and they'll get back to News 4. Jesus fucking Christ, what are we doing and what are you guys supporting? These mistakes can't happen. Don't give me mistakes happen. Don't fucking make mistakes like this. You don't get the opportunity to revisit this. These people will live with this forever. These children will live with this forever. And best case scenario, what'd you do? You got somebody that was here illegally. Best case scenario. Sick. It's sick. You guys are going to lose power for a very long time. Keep this shit up. The problem is you're not going to win. That's why we're starting to see it be more crazy. And I think it will get more crazy before it stops being crazy. We're at the tightening part. That's why I asked earlier, and some of you guys may or may not have been here, but I asked the Republicans in the chat, and I'll ask it again. Republicans in the chat, would you support Donald Trump arresting me for things that you, let's just say I lied about Donald Trump. Would you support Donald Trump coming in the middle of this live stream and arresting me for telling lies about him? Just hands up in the chat if you would support that. Earlier, there was about 10 Republicans in here that were like, yeah, you should be deported. 39% approval rating. It's way lower than that, right? Democrats' approval rating, unless you're talking about Trump's approval rating, then it's about right. Where we at, Republicans? Hands in the chat there. And then ask yourself this question. Do you think Donald Trump would do that? Because I do. What happened? These people were citizens. What happened to them? They got thrown out of their house in the middle of the night. Donald Trump should be on TV today apologizing. Tom Homan should be on TV today apologizing. DHS should be, Kristi Noem should be on TV today apologizing. They should reach out to this family and they should apologize, but they won't, because this administration is not allowed to admit when they do things wrong, because the leader of this administration is an unabashed pussy. He will never admit that he's wrong. And some of you will support him until the day that he dies. Look, there we go. Now we got him. There's the hands. There's the yeses. Yeah. There's a significant amount of people who do not give a fuck. You guys just openly want fascism. So when you get mad at us for calling you fascists, just remember, anybody in this chat, just remember, I've given Republicans an opportunity to not be fascist, and they take it. And the Republicans that are in here, I hope that you're talking to your fellow Republicans who are saying, yeah, let's lock that person up. It's not my argument. I'm not saying Trump will do it. I'm saying if he did it, what would you guys do? And I think you guys would support it. I don't think any of you would come to my defense. Cam says, how dare you criticize the bad-built, big butch, beautiful Bosa bill? Kathy says, Dollar Train. Brian says, didn't Trump say ICE can enter homes without a warrant? Yes. There's more guns than people in this country. What could possibly go wrong? Benny, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Trudy said, thanks, Jay, Jen, and team. Christy says, you can't play videos like that. I'm trying to dictate and can't because I'm laughing my ass off. Johnny said, it's just a dirty joke, not throwing shade. Jody, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. Appreciate you. Let's do this too. Kelly says, why does it do that? Your impression of a whiny MAGA dude gets me giggling every time. Never stop being you. Love you, brother. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. I've just been around them a lot. I know how they sound. Jen, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. Shannon as well said, thanks for another great show. All right. Moving on here. Oh, Jen's got an update there. I'll update that in just a second, Jen. Thank you for doing that. Let's get on to the tariffs. We've got a weird thing that's going on right now with the Trump administration. They appear to be lying. They keep telling us, and here's why I think they're lying and not China, because they keep telling us that they're negotiating with China, and China keeps denying it. And then every time they ask the United States for Scott Bessent or Donald Trump, every time they ask for an example, they say, we're not going to talk about that. I don't understand that. If China's saying that they're not negotiating, why would you cover for China and say we're not going to talk about it? I have this sneaking suspicion China's not negotiating, and this administration is unwilling to be honest about that.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The Chinese continue to say that the U.S. and China are not engaged in any consultation or negotiation on tariffs. You recently said you've talked to your counterpart, but more about, quote, traditional things like financial stability. So can you clarify, is the administration talking to Beijing specifically about tariffs or not?
Well, we're not going to talk about who's talking to whom, but I think that, over time we will see that the Chinese tariffs are unsustainable for China. I've seen some very large numbers over the past few days that show if these numbers stay on, Chinese could lose 10 million jobs very quickly, and even if there is a drop in the tariffs, that they could lose 5 million jobs. So
now, where are those numbers? Because I haven't seen those numbers. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I would like to know where they're getting those numbers. And secondly, why the fuck do we care? Why do we want them to lose jobs? What are we fighting for? What is this tariff war doing? Why the fuck are you having a trade war with China? Because they import more or they export more than we do? Who cares? It doesn't hurt us. It's mutually beneficial. Who cares? This is a dick measuring competition, and Donald Trump has the smaller dick, and he can't make his dick bigger. So he's just mad at China for having a bigger dick than him. That's what we're doing right now. Your dick's bigger. I'm mad. That's what's happening. Why do we care if there's a trade deficit? It doesn't hurt us. It benefits us. We have a trade war for no reason. They're like, well, it will really hurt China. You only say that because it's hurting us. And you want your people to be like, oh, well, I know it's hurting us, but it's hurting them just as bad. Why does anybody need to be hurt? Why does China need to lose jobs? Why do we need to lose jobs? We don't. We just have a president who's an egomaniac and doesn't want to admit that he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Remember that we are the deficit country. They sell almost 5 times more goods to us than we sell to them.
Who cares?
So the onus will be on them to take off these tariffs. They're unsustainable for them.
And they are saying you guys are not talking about it. So is that true?
Look, they have a different form of government. They're playing to a different audience. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, again, of who's talking to whom. But as I said, I believe for the Chinese, these tariffs are unsustainable.
And very quickly.
People are saying like I believe China. No, I do. I don't know. I'm just asking for information. If you're going to come out here, it is the Republicans' job. It is the Trump administration's job. If negotiations are happening with China and China denies it, Trump made the claim that they're negotiating. I just want to know where the evidence that they're negotiating is. I'm not saying that they are or they're not, but where's the evidence? And when they ask Scott Bessent and when they ask Donald Trump, where's the evidence? They say, I'm not going to get into that. So maybe China's lying, but why? If China's lying, why isn't Trump telling us? Is he protecting China? Do you see how this doesn't make any fucking sense? If China's negotiating, why isn't Trump telling us that? If China was lying right now and they were actually negotiating and Trump brought that forward, that would make him look good. And it would make China look bad. That's good for a negotiation. Do you see why this doesn't make sense? Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Yeah, they're totally negotiating. Well, they say they're not. Well, they are. Okay, what do you mean by that? I'm not telling. All right. They're asking you to just trust them, and you are. And you're doing it because you're like, well, I'll trust them over China. Why? Just because you live here? Like, what evidence is there that they're telling the truth here? We got a bunch of empty cargo ships. I don't think, I don't know. I think there's far more evidence that China's telling the truth. Just give us the evidence then. If you're going to make a claim, please give us the evidence. We would love to have the evidence of that. I would love to be wrong about Trump. I would love to see Trump's tariff war win and all Americans pay less in taxes and wipe out our national debt. That would be terrific. It doesn't seem, the math doesn't seem to add up. And every time we ask him, he's like, you'll see. You'll see. Could we see some stuff now? No. You can't see now. You just got to wait. Trust the process. I'm tired of trusting the government. I'm not a big fan of trusting the government. So I'm not big on waiting. Here's what they say, and here's where the cult shit comes into play. Okay, this is cult shit. Here's Bessent asked a question. Caroline Levitt steps in. They're asking, because you can't hear it, the question that will be asked here is, what is your message to the American people in terms of getting through this disturbance? Americans are struggling. They recognize prices are going to go up. Supply chains are going to be hurt. What's your message to them, to the people who are going to be hurt by this?
Thank you, Caroline. A question for you and Secretary Bessent. We talk a lot about volatility and uncertainty in the marketplace, and the president has stated all along that he's more concerned about mainstream America, the American worker. You just talked about deregulation and this entire fair trade and reciprocals. What is your message to the American people in terms of...
No, I didn't trust them when Biden was president. Margaret, have you been here? Did you just get here? I started the show criticizing Joe Biden. I started the show about a lie that Joe Biden told about his response to Israel and Palestine. No. Stop. Every time you guys do this whataboutism, you're doing it to avoid the fact that you're in a cult. And then you're like, oh, well, you guys do it too, and then we don't. And then you're just like, oh. No. But self-reflect. Self-reflect on it. Why? Tell me why you trust Trump on this one. Has he given you any evidence, or do you just trust him? You just trust him. And so rather than answering that question honestly, this is the cult mentality. You go to whataboutism. Well, what about you? No, just answer it for yourself. Answer for yourself. What information has Trump given you about negotiating with China? Has he given you any? The answer is no. So you're left with, you just trust him. Just own that.
Message to the American people in terms of letting them get through this disturbance and the outcome being greater and a greater good for the American worker, the American people, the American families?
I would say trust in President Trump.
Trust him.
There's a reason he was reelected to this office. It's because of the historic success of his economic...
God, she's low energy lately, isn't she? Trust him. What would you tell the people? Just trust. You voted for him. Don't criticize him. Just trust him.
Formula in the first term, and as I laid out at the beginning of the briefing and the Secretary has talked about and the President talks about every day, there's a proven formula that works. Massive deregulation, energy independence, and tax cuts, which are coming, and the Secretary is working very hard on that with our counterpart.
How will that fix the tariff problem? Trust him. He's going to drill, baby, drill, cut regulation and cut taxes. All right. How's that going to help with the trade war? Because that was the question you asked. Just trust him, and trust him for these reasons that have nothing to do with tariffs. Bro, you guys got to be better than this. You can't accept that as an answer from your leadership. If you're a person who takes that answer and you're like, okay, now I'm good, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You gotta get better leaders. You gotta respect yourself a little bit more. That's not an acceptable answer. What should we do about this? Well, let me tell you about some other shit instead. Well, okay, we're good. Tessa said, I'll visit you in CCOT. Thank you. I appreciate that. John the Four said, thanks for calling attention to the David Geyer autism registry debacle. As a parent of a nonverbal 8-year-old, you speaking up on this brings me comfort. Look, you got to thank my friend Chad, because I didn't understand the impact of it until a friend of mine really brought that impact. I missed that, so I appreciate you saying that. But I'm a little bit ashamed of not knowing about it. Frankie said, just trying to help out, man. I know times are hard, and I know you work hard for this as a team. Thank you so much. As a team, thank you so much. Appreciate that, my friend. Let's see. Caitlin said, there we go. Dollar Trend. Thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate you very much. And got it. All right. So this story, let me preface it this. There was a story that broke this morning. I'm sure new details have come out since I've been live, but let me give you the details as they were before I went live. A story broke this morning that Amazon was going to list the price of tariffs next to the price on Amazon. That story went everywhere, and about 3 hours later, Amazon came out and said that actually wasn't us. It was somebody. In fact, I'll just show you the statement. Where did that go? Here we go. Let me just show you the statement before we get there. Amazon came out after. They said the team that runs our ultra low-cost Amazon Haul store has considered listing import charges on certain products. This was never a consideration for the main Amazon site, and nothing has been implemented on any Amazon properties. So I don't know what has come out since then, but I want to be clear that that's how this started. So the reason I'm still showing this clip, even though it appears that Amazon did not actually was not actually going to do what they said they were going to, or what was said. Now, Amazon could have changed their mind. It's entirely possible that Trump got on the phone with Jeff Bezos and was like, what the fuck, and they walked it back. It's also entirely possible that Amazon's version of the story, that it was the Amazon Haul store did it and it was never policy. Any of those could be correct. I have no reason to believe that Amazon is lying, just so we're clear here. But I still want to show this video because I want to show how even before the facts come out, even before the story, like even though the story is unconfirmed at this point, watch how quickly this administration will demonize and politicize something that didn't even happen. If you're going to take them at their word that this didn't happen, look how quickly they are to demonize and politicize.
Hi, Mr. Secretary. So it was reported this morning that
sorry. Thanks, Valerie. Said appreciate your content.
Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
This didn't happen. According to them, now this didn't happen. But immediately the whataboutism. This is a hostile act taken at our... First of all, the reason that Amazon wouldn't do this with inflation is inflation wasn't caused unilaterally. Inflation was mostly caused by supply chain disruption. It wasn't a single decision that Donald Trump or Joe Biden made. So you wouldn't ascribe that to Joe Biden. The difference between tariffs and inflation is tariffs are Donald Trump unilaterally by himself adding tariffs. So he alone can be given the blame for it. There were a lot of reasons why we had inflation, and some of the reason we had inflation came due to stimulus checks that Donald Trump signed, and some of it came to stimulus checks that Joe Biden signed, and some of it had to do with policies from Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Some of it had to do with supply chain. Some of it had to do with global uncertainty. A lot of it, in fact, the number one driver of inflation was corporate greed. Corporations raising prices in anticipation of supply chain disruptions that didn't happen, and they adjusted them, and then they never brought them back down. That was the number one driver. So the difference between these two things, which again, apparently this Amazon thing didn't even happen, but the main difference is that tariffs are caused by one person and one person only. Inflation wasn't. But I just want to go back. How quickly they will call something a political biased attack, even though it wasn't true. And she says, I just got off the phone with the White House. I just talked to the president. And we have concluded, we know all the facts, and we've concluded that this was a hostile act taken by Amazon that apparently didn't happen.
Demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this, since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm.
So they smear? Do you fucking see this? This is a fake fucking story.
But I've got this printout here to show that anytime anybody does anything that makes us look bad, they're connected to China.
Fake fucking story. If I just reported the story and I didn't show you this, you guys would all be mad at me. The Republicans would be like, oh, that wasn't even a real story. You know, I did my research. I did more research than they did. Before I even covered this story, I made sure that I knew all the sides of this argument. No, not this administration. We're going to go straight to the smear. This is hostile. They hate us. Jeff Bezos just gave them millions of dollars. This is hostile. And he's a plant for the CCP. But stay mad at me, MAGA. Stay mad at me. They're just immediately smearing him over a fake story.
Has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you.
But I will speak to Jeff Bezos' relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. I will smear him, but I won't say that he doesn't love Trump, because he probably still loves Trump. Fake story, fake outrage, fake smear about, oh, this is a direct attack on our administration. What do we do? Like, how can you unsee this, Republicans? Fake story, fake outrage, fake smear. And then go compare this to every other time that somebody says something about Donald Trump. This is how they operate. This is how cults operate. You just demonize anybody who ever criticizes you, even when it's fake. Are they going to walk this back? Who wants to bet Caroline Leavitt doesn't walk this back? By the way, what happened to her forehead? Looks like she took a knock. Did she run into something? God damn, Caroline.
That this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon. And Secretary, if you have anything to
go
ahead.
They do not. Truth is irrelevant. This whole administration, all they're doing is trying to protect Trump's feelings at all times. Guys, don't say mean things about Trump or else we'll call you a communist. I mean, Tony, I don't know if it's 100% fake. I'm telling you that Amazon says it's fake. There's no confirmation the story's real. So let's just say that. It's 100% fake as far as the evidence that we have now. Like, y'all weaponize the FBI. There's the whataboutism. See, you guys, just sit with something. One fucking time, Republicans. Just sit with something. This is why we call it a cult. If your reaction to anything said about your side of the aisle is to immediately talk about the other side of the aisle, then you're in a cult. It just is. And that's cult behavior. Let's say this. You're not in a cult necessarily. That's cult behavior. That would be an indication that you're in a cult.
Not necessarily definitive. But do you guys ever sit with any of this and think about it? That's what I appreciated about our guest earlier. He's like, I'm thinking about this shit now. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that. So I got new information. I got to sit with it. Knee-jerk reaction's a bad way to live your life, folks. It's not a good way to live your life. You wind up believing a lot of dumb shit if it's just knee-jerk reaction. And you wind up being entrenched in positions you never really meant to have. You knee-jerk reacted your way into a position, and now you're stuck there because you have to admit that, like, you were wrong. You're doing the same. No, I'm not, Will. What am I doing the same about, Will? Bro, I just played the whole story. That's a crazy thing to say. I just showed you all sides of the story, and you're like, you're doing it too. Bro, what? I just showed you all sides. That's all I did. I don't know if you guys know. Like, I don't know if you are able to consume information and get the right answer. I am concerned that there's a large swath of Americans who have no idea how to get to a correct answer. It's just all gut with you. And I think there's way too many Americans that just think their gut is true. Oh shit. All right. Well, this is a import charge. This was from a Amazon order or Temu order. So it looks like Temu's doing it. Interesting. Well, Temu's about to hear some shit. Temu's about to get in trouble with the Trump administration. How dare you show people that you're not charging it and we are? How dare you? How about that? I didn't know that was a thing. Margaret, I'm not saying I'm correct. God damn, what the fuck are you watching, Margaret? I said I don't know. I just showed you both sides. That's all. I just showed you that there was a claim Amazon said something, and then I showed you the administration's response. I showed it to you in its entirety, and now they're coming out and saying it's not true. I'm showing you that they smeared Jeff Bezos, that they said it was a hostile attack, and it doesn't appear to be true. I'm just showing you the news. I didn't say I was right or wrong. I've specifically said I don't know. You guys are the ones that are taking a position. Ron said, fuck MAGA Nazis and fuck waffles. God damn. Is waffles a person, or do you just not like waffles? Thank you, Tim, for joining the Dollar Train. I don't know what waffles did to deserve that. I'm going to do a couple more things, then we'll get going. I just want to say this. I think we need to be able to answer questions a little bit better. This is, here you go. Here you go, Republicans. This is where we need to probably get better on our side of the aisle. We need to be able to answer questions, and we need to have good information so that you don't come off looking a little bit dumb.
Are you in favor of paying American wages, like making sure that people have a livable wage?
Yeah.
Are you in favor of the environment, like you're protecting against climate change and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you, when having the manufacturer in China and paying kids $1 a month and then pumping CO2 like crazy with no regulations, is that helping you achieve those various things?
Problem with that, China does have regulations. The other problem with that is an overwhelming majority, most of Chinese manufacturing is not done by children. We have to be educated enough to stop people from trapping us into an argument. The premise, and we need to learn to say, like, I reject the question. I reject the premise of that question. This is how MAGA winds up winning. They do this gotcha shit, and nobody thinks about what they're saying. You should not answer a question that is faulty. They absolutely have regulation. And they're working on clean energy consistently. You can look at the cities in China and what they've done for pollution and what they've done about their air. They're bringing that problem under more control. And by the way, China was like, they were kind of aware. They knew that in order to produce more renewable energy, at least in the moment, they were going to have to create more pollution because you have to use the existing energy to create the infrastructure for the new energy. China's ahead of the game, but first of all, we have to stop that.
helping you achieve those various things?
Well, that's not helping us achieve those various things, but the fact
So
is
would
that
you be willing to pay a little bit,
is-
1 second, would you be willing to pay a little bit more for the products, knowing that you're taking care of the environment and paying Americans a livable wage?
Of course, it would be best to not employ cheap labor that violates human rights. But the fact is that raising the tariffs isn't going to help that problem, because the industries, for it to help that problem, the industries have to bring their companies back here. But they won't
How
do
would
that.
you bring them to America? So I just want to clarify that up. How do we get them to bring them? Because we agree now, we don't want to abuse human rights, abuse the pollution, all that stuff. How do we bring that company out of China to America? What is the best way to do that?
I don't know, you tell me.
Well, it's to incentivize them to make stuff in America, right?
Okay, yeah, it would be to incent.
How would you do that?
And this is how sometimes we lose. We got to be better than that. Do we use slave labor in America? Yes. Do we use child labor in America? Yes. If those jobs come to America, will it pollute less? Absolutely not. It will probably pollute more because we don't have renewable energy. Many of these manufacturing plants now rely entirely on renewable energy. We can't get stuck with like with the premise and get walked into these. And this is like big oil's loving this, right? They're like, oh, nice, dude. Now somebody's going to watch this clip and they're like, that's right. That's what, now I support tariffs. It is better for the environment that it's made in China. If it comes to America, it's going to be worse for the environment. And it's specifically like, if we're talking about just the world, it's worse. But if we're also talking about just where you live locally, it will make it worse. You can look at what Elon Musk is doing in Memphis. Everybody in Memphis is up in arms. The Elon Musk built his AI factory, and that he's polluting more than he said he would. If America is not, by the way, what was his name? Sean Duffy said, I'm not doing this woke shit. I'm not doing this green energy shit. We're going to drill. We're going to use coal. If America went back to manufacturing, we would pollute way more than China. If we took all those jobs and we moved them here, we would pollute way more because we don't do renewable energy. And this administration wants to kill renewable energy. We've got to be better about these premise, and Republicans, I guess, like, be more honest. The problem with that question, and the reason that Republicans are there, is what Republicans are starting with is the premise that Donald Trump is correct, and they work backwards. That's the problem with this tariff argument. You guys are starting with this idea that Trump is right, and you work backwards, and you're trying to use all of this to prove that you're right. But what you're not doing is looking at the actual problem. What is the problem? What's the problem? Can anybody tell? Is the problem that things aren't manufactured in America? No, that's not the problem. What is the problem that we're trying to fix here? Is it the problem that we have a trade deficit? That's not a problem. We've explained that before. I have a trade deficit with the grocery store. Trade deficits are fine. What the fuck is this problem that we're trying to fix right now? I have no idea. China is working on. I don't know where their CO2 emissions. Let's see which countries have the most. Which I know China was the heaviest polluter. I think India might have passed them. But China definitely is way ahead of us in terms of renewable energy. So if we look at per capita emissions by country, yeah, we're number one. Canada's number 2. There's China number 3. Yeah, we're number 1. So we already pollute the most. Do you see that? Fucks up the whole premise of that question. China has dirty air and child labor. Shouldn't we bring that here where we have clean air and no child labor? We have child labor here and we pollute more. It's better for it looks like it's better for the world. And it's better for us and it's better for the environment if we leave those manufacturing jobs in China. Looks like it would be worse if it came here. Why don't you marry China if you love it so much? I tried. I got turned down. China said no thanks. I'm doing my best. Canada's elected a Democrat who's going to go against Trump. Well, not a Democrat, a liberal. They don't have Democrats in China. She didn't get Trump's sandwich fest.
Good guy is Chinese tool. I'm confused. Wait, what? This dude likes slavery. Let's see which countries have the most child labor. Let's see. I've never looked this up before. There's no graph there. Let's see. All right. Child labor in the United. It looks like it's been going down in the UK. Oh, that's to 1911. Do we have updated ones? Why is that to 1930? Is that what we're looking for? Global estimates of child labor. Uh, highest in Africa, then the Americas, then Arab, then Asia. Oh no, excuse me. Yeah, Asia and the Pacific 7.4%. Africa's much higher. The Americas are at 5.3%. Most of it not in industry, by the way. Most of it's in agriculture. That's interesting. I'll have to dig more into that. I don't know where we're at as far as in comparison to China. There's some good numbers I'll have to look up. I'll bring them. I'll look up and bring them tomorrow. Yeah, the point is that like all of these countries have child labor, including us. All of these countries have slave labor, including us. And we point at these countries and we point at the stuff that they're bad at or the things that we don't like about them, and we forget to like check our own backyard. And we can forget to check like what we're doing here. The point is that China and the United States should have a good relationship. We should have a president who is dedicated to tariff-free trade across the world. We should have a president who wants to do what's best for the American people. And what's best for the American people is to have a really good relationship with China. What's best for the American people is to have a good to end wars. What's best for the American people is that we stop intervening in countries all over the world, but we don't ever do that. We just keep calling China the enemy and act like we need to go to war with China, and then and then here we are. Now we're in a trade war, and it's killing all of us. Let me check real quick. Last bits of donations. I don't know if I read that. Jen said thanks for the hard work. Let me see. Let's do this real quick. Sorry, guys, I have to do math in my head. All right. $25, $18. There we go. All right, we were relatively close. We were relatively close. I sound like I'm from Canada. Thank you. I like the Canadians. All right, guys, we missed it. I'm gonna talk Jen into coming back tomorrow. We can do it. But we'll be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Just a reminder, tonight we will not be going live with Admir. I think that there are some TikTok things that need to be said. I think there are some TikTok community things that need to be said, and I don't want to be a distraction from the voices that are going to be heard from today. Regarding the Unfuck America tour, I think that our side of the aisle has some cleaning up to do. I think those people who were involved in the Unfuck America tour have been at least relatively vocal, and I think that there's some criticism that they have heard and need to hear, and I think that there are some people who largely have not got the blame that they probably deserve, and there's going to be a lot of stories that come out tonight about content creators that most of us love and have kind of grown to be part of their community, and I think some of that's going to be shocking. And I just want to echo what I said at the beginning, is that you don't know any of us. You know what we give. We know what we present to you on the screen. And so when you listen to people tonight, if you're on TikTok and you're listening to people that you may not know, or you're listening to somebody criticize a creator that you love, a creator that you've grown to trust, I would just say keep an open mind and look at the evidence that's being presented, look at the responses that are being offered,
and ask yourself, is this person asking me to believe the evidence, or is this person asking me to take my preconceived notion about them and apply that? And my only recommendation is that you go into these conversations that you listen to with a very, very open mind, and that you don't allow yourself to be gaslit into believing in somebody's character that you don't know. And even when you do know them, even if you think you know them, listen to the evidence that's being presented. I hate what's happening today. I honestly do. I hate what's going to happen today. I hate that there is likely a very big creator who is not going to survive the day with their reputation intact. I do hate that. And I wish it didn't happen. But it needs to happen. And there are people who will use their platform to be predators, to trick you out of money, to talk you into doing things that you don't want to do, to manipulate you. I just want you to be aware of that. There is real power with having a platform. There is responsibility. Geez, what happened? There's responsibility that I think people need to be aware of. What in the world just happened here? My screen just turned off. Well, now you're seeing what I see. Anyways, listen to them. Listen to what's happening tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube and on Twitch. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.